evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Howling About Entertainment for this fine April 18th, 2021. All right. How are you? By God. Welcoming, of course, our Egyptian god from the north, Lord Thoth. How are you today, my friend?
Hail, Jake D, Ironcaster, Draco, and everybody in the chat. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me aboard.
You betcha, buddy. And of course, he is our fire-breathing Northern Michiganite, Draco Argentis. How are you, brother?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me here along with our other excellent guests this evening to talk about stuff.
And of course, you have gotten to know him. You have gotten to love him. He is our rusted Ironcaster of the ginger hair. How are you, brother?
Oh, doing just great. Got to stay in. Get my laundry done.
Good times. Well, yeah, that kind of matters, man. I was running around house hunting today, so I missed all the member streams and everything that was going on today because I'm trying to get out of renting the place and getting contract on a new house, and it's just man, you would not believe how crazy it is trying to get a house around here in Central Texas, man. It's got on a couple waiting lists. I'm number one on one of them, and hopefully one of the contracts that's in place falls out, and then he'll give me a call and I can pick it up. That'd be good. All right. Let's see who is here, by God. We've got Robert, who of course was giving me shit about not going live lately. So, good to see you. Glad we could show you we still do that here on the channel. Just another Redshirt. Good afternoon, my friend. You are not another Redshirt. You are the Redshirt. And by God, the mensch wrench of us up-and-coming channels, as Gary would put it. Mary G, good to see you. Sentient Dildo, I hope you got fresh batteries in, my friend. We're hoping to have a lively one this afternoon. And yes, he does. Epolini's Minion, good to see you. I hope Truck Dog is doing well. Absolutely.
Truck Dog.
Yes.
Truck Dog.
The Islington Girl. It's good to have you here. It is always nice to see our community from Canada here. Makes Thoth feel at home.
Absolutely.
Small times. Texas should require an aptitude test for everyone moving into the state. I would absolutely support that. if you're coming
I would
here,
expect it of you.
Yeah, that would be totally okay by me. So, holy shit! Did you guys see the Black Falcon and the White Soldier this week?
I still have not seen a second of this show.
Oh, you're a lucky man, Ironcaster. You are a lucky man. So we were treated to an episode about nothing, in which
Seinfeld.
Oh, it was very much a Seinfeld episode. So what happened in this episode basically was Bucky took the shield from Captain Fake America, and we got a nice training montage of Sam trying to, really work. I think they've listened to us about how, the heroes need to be in peak physical shape and things like that. Because we got a lot of Sam running and trying to learn how to throw the shield, which of course was totally unbelievable because while the dude might be approaching peak human, he's certainly not superhuman, and throwing the shield that way was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I appreciate they at least spent a little time showing some training so he didn't just automatically look like Cap, but holy shit. And then of course Sam got lectured about how no of the Stars and Stripes, and this was an extended segment. So he goes back and visits Isaiah, who basically told him that if you're black, you can't love America. That really was the summary of the entire conversation, and that by God, a black Captain America could never exist. It was, they had a lot of the woke scenes in the course of the previous episodes, but this one was just like straight up, just saying America's for white people. That is the message of this episode.
Sounds like I didn't miss anything.
Yeah. See, RMB. I love RMB. He's good. I do like the guy. I'm not surprised that he enjoyed the cultural messaging, though, because the thing about RMB, I respect the hell out of that guy, and I like him. Do not misunderstand me, but he's also, he agrees with those sorts of messages by and large. Maybe not as in your face as they gave it to us in the Black Falcon show, but by and large, he's in agreement with those messages. So, I guess I'm not shocked to hear he was cool with it. I don't know. What do you think, Draco?
I think you mentioned what your opinion of RMB is about that. I think my opinion is along those lines, at least as far as the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and what he said about it. Part of the idea behind woke, and this is where I first came from when I first heard about woke, when I first heard about intersectionalism and third wave feminism. The ideas that they espouse, the first thing that they talk about is something that you'll hear on Unsafe Space, is that there's things that sound like a good idea. And sometimes I think that they, in order to realize this in the way that they are currently realizing it, they step right past the idea of, a lot of these things have been happening in time. No, they have never happened before now. We must do them now because nobody's ever doing them. And if they did them before, they weren't doing them right, so they might as well never have been done in the first place. But I don't think that's where RMB is. I think he wants to see the messages that are doing the things that are making this stuff show up, and we just have an issue but they're not being genuine. They're not being fair. They're not being just. Social justice should be part of it. They're not being proper with this. And that is part of the problem. When we see it, a lot of things that don't make sense are a lot of the issues with the way that they're levering their statements and their examples and their narratives. It's the thing that we don't like about how you can find reasons to appreciate the point of view of Baron Zemo, and you can find reasons to appreciate the point of view of Carly, the flag.
The flag smashers. Yeah, the flag smashers.
And it's like you care so much about this. You're almost making them the individual that has more reason to follow, and then they blow up a building with innocent people in it and justify it, and it's like, no, it's bad. Because if you would really care about these things, you wouldn't simply dismiss it and say, this is the only way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then we get plenty of, what is the thing that our friend Matt likes to take? One of his favorite lines from Gary of Nerdrotic is the feelings in insert appropriate place here, or the feelings in Latveria or whatever, or the feelings in Sokovia, or the feelings in New York. That we get in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we definitely had a lot of feelings in various different places in this episode. No question about it, man. Including feelings from Bucky to Sam's sister, which Sam was not happy about, I might point out. He did not want his buddy hitting on his sister.
But that was the least of my problems with the show.
That one at least I understand. I at least get that one.
I was getting both points. I was saying, yeah, you go, Buck. And I say, yeah, Sam, go ahead, protect your sister. I just want to see how that I want to see how that plays out more than the fucking story.
I know, right? Oh man, Thoth, where you at on this one, man?
The actual episodes, or what it's spousing, or R&B's thoughts, or there's a lot of things to pull in here. I honestly haven't watched the show because I keep hearing from everybody that it's woke garbage, and I'm a huge Marvel Universe fan. I enjoy the MCU movies, and this just isn't something that I really want to watch. I think I've been invested in so many things that have actually been good lately, and I'm starting to see some good TV shows out there, like the Superman and Lois show. Invincible has been great, the cartoon. I'm starting to watch Final Space again, the cartoon for this season. So there's a lot of things out there that have been kind of distracting me from watching this.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I just don't know.
Good.
I
think.
I read an article yesterday or today. No, well, I guess it was late last night, whereby Stan actually said that he was disappointed. Not Stan, I mean the writer of the comic book, the creator of the original comic book character, Winter Soldier, was very disappointed by how the TV show has gone. So yeah, I think that what they've done is they've just bastardized this character into something they want to use to espouse from their countertops, their platforms. They want to tell us what we should be thinking, not let us think for ourselves.
Yeah. I hear you. And hey, Fenrir, you made it,
Fenrir.
my friend. Good to see you.
Hello,
Good
Fenrir.
night, gentlemen. It's good to be here. Sorry for the great delay.
Yeah, no worries, man. Glad to have you. Have you.
When I was trying to tell a coworker about some of the villains that were in this show, I had to point out that the name Flag Smasher has an L in it.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't going to go there.
Oh, hey, you know what? Hey, I have got to pop in on this. The Islington girl. I am so glad to hear this. I am so glad to hear that because, yeah, that was just it's always been wrong. I mean, straight up. So sorry. I know that was a little bit of a derail, but man, that's always been something. I'm very, very glad to hear that, the Islington girl, because what was going on with you guys up there, honestly, was truly concerning. So
yeah, I would refuse to pull somebody over. As a police officer that works in Ontario, I do federal policing, obviously, but everything going on in Ontario, there was a great chat we had on Foul Ball Productions stream the other night, and I talked about it a little bit, but I think that the government really overstepped their authority, and they made some decisions that I disagree with, and I think 99.9% of Ontarians feel the same way. We don't want to be in a police state, and I think that they have to be very careful when they kind of use their power to do these kind of things. I'm glad police officers in Ontario stood up and said, we're not going to breach people's rights and freedoms. And that's something that we've fought for and died for over the last couple hundred years. Canada is a free country, and we've been renowned for that throughout the world. And once they start doing stuff like that and stepping on our freedoms like that, then we really start to get upset. So yeah, they're going to have to step it back, because I'm telling you, when they have nobody, yeah, that's right.
There you go, Robert. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It just gets to the point now where if you've got nobody to enforce it, I mean, the rules don't work when there's no one to enforce it.
It is a little bit hard.
RCMPOM on Moose.
Mooses.
Mooses.
All right. Yeah, that is good to hear, though, man. I mean, really, really glad to hear that. So let me. I got a funny feeling that Fenrir might have a little bit of an opinion about what happened in this Black Falcon and the White Soldier episode. So,
am I gonna have to bust out the stopwatch?
You might. So Fenrir.
Okay, first of all,
What'd you think about Isaiah telling Sam that no black man should ever be proud of the Stars and Stripes?
That's a bit of a bullshit statement. I mean, this is just ending up in a sad position. They're obviously trying to make it seem like some kind of all white people are bad and the government's bad without thinking about the chances the government gives to most people. I mean, of course it is evil. No government, deep down, not all governments care about the people that work for them. Maybe some small parts, but not the bigger picture. But the way these guys are trying to seem it is as if they're themselves trying to start into a revolution and send a very dark message. It can end up very bad. Because they're really saying to all black people, don't trust this government, revolt, destroy it. And that could end up very bad, and they wouldn't accept responsibility of someone. Because there are people literally repeat what they see on television. There are people that stupid. We all know it. Not just children. Also adults.
Absolutely, man.
So yeah, I at this point, I'm really just giving up on this entire show. I'm still watching the episodes for some reason.
Yeah. It. Now, did you notice there was a post-credits little stinger scene?
Nope, dropped out about 3 minutes before the credits.
Yeah. So old disgraced Johnny Walker is making himself a new shield. So I assume he's going to introduce himself as the U.S. agent.
Oh, okay. Then. This is just gonna. Why can't this just end now? I mean, it's obvious not a lot of people like this. They used to like WandaVision, so why not just give up? Looks like the best decision.
Yeah, I mean, there is, at least for me right now, that there is nothing at all coming out of Marvel that I've got any interest in.
Yeah. It's almost like they're all nothing more than a corporate organization that is trying to dry up as much as they can, waiting that someone's going to want to watch, but they kind of already done that, and there's no point left on it. So, yeah, it's kind of like they're that.
I do have a slight point. It's an aside, but it has to do with where we are going forward with Marvel. Well, this is actually in reference to another YouTuber who has guested on some channels that I have watched. She's actually a member of our relatively close-knit fandom named Raquel Briggs. She has appeared with, if any of you know, Clobberin' Times channel. And yes, she is actually a scientist, data scientist, social scientist. I'm not 100% certain on exactly what she is, but she talked at length the other night in a chat that I was participating in, and it had to do with just where we are going with this. And I think it kind of starts with that idea of what Bob Chapek said about the analytics that drive these shows, and the idea of what is important to them now, and whether or not we want to continue supporting these things. Is that there is a difference between the actual way the money that they're making from, as Rachel said in that chat, the butts and seats model of making money with these things, and that the idea that the clicks, the social currency that's generated, that these things are actual, they're almost fiduciary for these companies now. They are the means by which they track how much that they can actually recoup an investment on the show. Now, she knows more about this on you. If you can find Raquel Briggs' channel, or you might even hang out in a chat when she's hanging with Clobberin' Time on YouTube. She speaks to this at length. She is very knowledgeable about it, and it speaks to this issue of why are they spending money on it when it seems like they might be losing the money from the idea of the butts and seats model. They are really turning over to how much. I mean, this show right now, we give them clicks, we give them interest, we give them sort of eyes on their material. But as the interest dwindles and as our show stopped talking about it, that just sort of goes away.
It's a fair, it's a fair observation.
Yeah, it is. It is. And just another red shirt. You're right about that. I have met once a U.S. black veteran in the airport coming to South Africa to visit his family relatives from here, and he was very proud about being an American.
Absolutely.
Even despite the many things that his government has done in the past, he was proud about being an American.
Hey, let's not pretend that the government hasn't done bad things, because yeah, they have.
Every government in the world has done incredibly bad things to its population and sometimes immigrant population. Let's not forget, China is literally committing some very, 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 very bad things that supposedly wars were fought to prevent. But apparently Twitter is ignoring that.
Yeah. Let's not pretend that's not true, man. I mean, look, it's not wrong to be upset about things like, say, Tuskegee, right? I mean, that's some pretty bad shit. That's a pretty dark stain on the government, and well, that's part of why I don't like the government. But that's a whole nother stream.
But that is one big flag that we can pick up and say, "Hey, government, remember this that you did?" Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having a healthy skepticism of the government. In fact, it's probably the best thing to have. But yeah, I mean, Redshirt's point, right? Dare them to say that to any black combat veteran. I'm completely with Redshirt like that. And
that's a good point.
Yeah, Ascension Dildo mentions the Patriot Act. Yeah, that was pretty goddamn horrible. I'm not a fan. So, there's all those big, like, nasty things always have such nice names. But
even in the realm of this as a fantasy, even in realm in this is, I mean, the guy that we're looking at, this character that they're putting there, Isaac, I can't remember exactly.
Isaiah Bradley, the worst superhero character ever fucking made in history.
So they make up this guy and they make him out to be, he was destroyed by the country. He was set aside. He was used as a guinea pig in a lab rat. Okay, this guy's got he's got valid gripes, but a lot of his points are part of these things that you're just hearing. You're hearing the words, and they don't come from his own. They don't feel like they come from the character that they've created. They feel like they're saying something that we've heard come from other mouths.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It's just, man.
Yeah, it's just.
And this is what breaks us. This pulls us right out of the narrative, and they'll point at us and say, "Oh, you just don't like that. It's actually shining a light on the problems." No, I actually have friends where I work with, that I talk to, that I care about, that I'm concerned with, because I cannot speak for that community, and I know. I don't even know how many people are familiar with this. Yes, there are communities in the area where I live that there is still a problem with things like race profiling. This is still an ongoing thing, and we never deny it. And if we see it, we call it out. It's exactly like the motherfucker that put his knee on the back of the neck of the guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's charged. That's why he's going through criminal proceedings. Even with all of the other issues in that case, he's still going through it because he did the wrong thing. And everyone that helped participated in, those are bad things. And we know about these things. But when you hear these platform things come out and they speak from this platform, a platform that we probably don't have a whole lot of trust in, especially considering recent news. But I really want to get away from that, talk about the show, or at least the way the show is losing us, right?
Oh,
get
yeah.
back to the way the show is losing us.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it is things about this. It is things about saying these things that I don't believe your character anymore. So you want me to walk away. And it's not because I don't believe in your platform or the platitudes that you want me to. It's because you don't understand how this thing works and how things have been happening over time that have actually made this better. And now you want to separate, and now you want to isolate and
give special treatment, basically.
Politics.
Just because it's the equivalent of a child who got hurt while playing baseball, and then he starts crying and asking for better special treatment because he got hurt, while the others are still okay and playing.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So we've got. So the show has. I will give them credit that they gave us a nice long montage of Sam training with the shield once he got it.
Which made no sense.
I don't disagree. It didn't make sense, but at least they didn't just have him magically suddenly be an expert with Cap's shield.
Yes, at least give us.
Yeah, but still,
was Bucky there?
That shield is. That shield is. It's not heavy exactly, but the way he throws it with the strength, it makes no sense.
No, the vibranium adamantium composite shield is light as a feather, but it flies. So it ignores the normal laws of physics, so friction doesn't affect it. So you can throw it, and everything that you put into it, all the force, 9.8 meters per second squared, you throw that as hard as you can, it goes and it never slows down. And that's the advantage. And why Cap is so effective with it is because he's a genius when it comes to spatial physics. So what he does is in his mind, he calculates angles. That's why he's such a genius. It's just instantaneously he knows what angle to throw a shield, and he can bang it off 4 different objects and hit you in the head with it. And because he throws it at maximum human strength, like the super soldier serum has made him almost superhuman.
Yes.
He is incredibly strong. Yeah. So when he throws that shield and it hits you, it's like getting hit by a Mack truck, literally, because of the composite shield, the properties in the shield, it's almost magical, and it doesn't slow down. It just bam, it hits you. And so for somebody to just randomly pick it up and use it as effectively is impossible. No matter how much training you do with it, he's got literally decades of experience using it. Now I know this is the MCU, not the comic books, but don't forget that he is. It's very lightweight, and that's why you can just kind of flip it around, and that's why Bucky grabbed it with one hand in the MCU movie, right? In the Winter Soldier, he grabbed it with one hand, not just because he had that metal hand, but because, it's lightweight. So if he can absorb the force because of his metal arm, because of that arm he had, he could absorb the force. He can use it. Now, could he use it as effectively as Captain America? No. And so showing a training montage is one thing. But let me tell you, it's not the same. You can put U.S. Agent, you can give him the shield and call him Captain America, whatever. It's not the same. He's a normal human being. And whenever, like, for example, we saw when Iron Man and Thor were having their big fight, you remember, in the Avengers, and Captain America had the shield there, and Thor came down and hit the shield, and then boom, the force that was transmitted into the atmosphere and into the area around them. But Cap just stood there and went, oh, that's cool, right? It's because that absorbs all that kinetic energy into itself, and because of the potential energy that Cap transmits from his hand when he throws it into the shield, that's why it hits like a truck. It's all physics, and it's funny because it's a comic book that we're talking about. That's all. But yeah.
Well, you drove right back to the. Go ahead and introduce him, man.
And gentlemen, we have got him. You know him. You love him. He's one of the Fandom Menace's most beautiful heads of hair. It's the 33rd flavor of Nick Weiser.
Hello, guys. But Lord Thoth, that rant was a killing, man. A+ to you, sir. A+. And you couldn't be any more spot on. Like, I get the idea of needing to do a montage to try to, validate the Falcon at the shield. But the thing is, he is just a guy. He is not a super soldier. And you were right about U.S. Agent. You can't even do it with him either. There's a reason why Captain America is a super soldier. But what do we know? We're just comic book readers.
in the comics, at least they try to give Falcon some sense in it. They give him some kind of artificial super serum. But even then, I didn't take it. Cap is Cap. The title and Steve Rogers are special, unlike any other. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
and they're trying to constantly destroy who he is by making these new Captain Americas that have no meaning and should probably not even be able to do what he does.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of things that we need to consider here. This character is a legacy character. The whole he was built to control that shield. The super soldier serum allows him to think faster, to react faster, to be able to calculate distances and angles and do mathematical equations in his head faster. He might not be on Thor level strength, but he is strong, and his muscles, he can do some really, really hard things on his body because they heal a little faster because of the super soldier serum. His muscles react better. Everything about him allows him to be able to control that shield and use it so effectively, and that's what makes him such a unique character. Just giving the shield to somebody does not make them Captain America.
No, absolutely not.
It doesn't.
Comes back to that serum.
It comes back to the serum, and it also comes back to history at this point. Because if the idea of all these heroes is now nothing more than just a mantle, why is it that we keep coming back to these core characters as Captain America, as Batman, as Thor, as Spider-Man?
Because they're not just mantles.
Even if we like a particular version or a secondary version of the character, we're like, oh, at best, we're like, okay, this is cool, but I'm waiting for so-and-so to come back, because we always do.
Because deep down, the character is always going to be the first one.
Well, and Mike
because they've had the history and done it.
Dude, Mike makes a really spot on the money comment here. And
yep,
the Shield and Cap are the same character, and I don't disagree with this at all. They are really one and the same. I mean, old Johnny Walker, he could, kind of use it, and he got a little better at it when he had once he got the serum in him, but it's still, he ain't Cap, man. He is not Cap, and Falcon is not Cap either. And one of the first thing I said when they were talking about how, with Sam inheriting the shield from Steve and everything, my first reaction to it was, I mean, come on, this guy he's not capable of handling the shield like Steve did. He just isn't.
It's like giving Mjolnir to a female character and calling her Thor. No, it's like giving a suit of Iron Man armor to his secretary and calling her Iron Man. No, it's that's why
technically they've done that already.
That's why War Machine is called War Machine. That's not Tony Stark, right? And I think that's a little more conducive to the Marvel universe, because there's a lot of objects that are imbued with powers or abilities versus what's in DC, where you have Batman as Batman. Yeah, he has his utility belt, but you can have Batman be Batman, but Superman is Superman. He doesn't have a hammer. Wonder Woman, yeah, she has her lasso, but without it all, she's still tough. But you take the suit of armor from Tony Stark, and yeah, he's just a smart billionaire. I guess you could say that for Batman too, but Batman could still kick butt even without his gadgets. So
it's Batman, the character, not the gadgets. Even
Captain
America, he's one of the most dangerous people alive.
Absolutely. Captain America without the shield is still Captain America. He's Steve Rogers, yes, but he will always be Steve Rogers, no matter if you change his name. That's still that character. That's the legacy that he's earned over 80 years of comic books. That's just what I think. I think that this TV show is trying to make these new characters to pass on the legacy, and they're failing. And they're absolutely failing at this show, because Captain America is Steve Rogers, period. And the same in the comic.
As Godzillionaire points out, the serum also gives him America's ass. I mean, let's be fair. This is true.
That was the greatest,
so does that mean
power of it?
Does that mean Wolverine has as Canada's ass?
I think that's the guy from the head of Alpha Flight that has Canada's ass, though. What's his name again?
Guardian? Vindicator?
Yeah, Guardian's got
James
got his
Hudson.
ass.
Jimmy Hudson. Yeah, Jimmy Hudson was Guardian / Vindicator. He changed his name a couple times, but he had a suit of
Yeah.
armor too that he designed, similar to Tony Stark in a way, but it's more a sheath that has a shield around him. So yeah, that he's the leader of Alpha Flight.
Yeah, you know, Jaffo, you know, he thinks that, you know, old Johnny Walker liked getting that serum in him. Unfortunately, I do have bad news. That was actually the 34th flavor of Nick Weiser. And that's not something anybody should hope for, I don't think. I don't know. What do you guys?
Very spicy.
That's a good point, Mike Beat. That's a really good point. I think you're right. I think DC started to do this mantle passing over first. Yeah, I you know, well, Green Lantern is kind of, I mean, there's 7,200 of them in the current continuity, so that's really not a mantle that's unique. But the Flash is a really good example because you have Barry and then Wally West, and then the myriad of other Flash characters that have crept up over the years. So that's a very interesting point.
And the Tornado Twins, pretty much a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's a fair point. But Godzillionaire, this is he's typed here exactly what I've always thought about this issue, right? So Steve's literally running laps around Sam. Remember that? On your left, right?
I've actually used that line when I was out jogging too, by the way. And people always chuckle and laugh when I say it, because that's how much integrated these movies have become in society, because people know when you say something like that, they're going, oh yeah, that Captain America guy.
Yeah.
Part of the cultural zeitgeist.
And now we know who Britain's ass is, of course, you know.
Well, there's Captain Britain too, let's not forget. But let me tell you, I would much rather look at Psylocke. Yeah. Betsy Braddock.
Everyone prefers
I'm a
Psylocke.
fan there.
I mean, it still counts. I mean, didn't she become Captain Britain?
There we go.
Played by a Canadian actress, by the way.
This is
Got
true.
Shout out to Canada.
Well, Thoth is always quick to let us know when Canada is featured.
You might
His
say
Canada
Portugal.
senses are tingling. Quick, light the maple leaf.
Well, still, I wouldn't trust.
I'm patriotic as you American boys are the same way, though. You're quick to wave the flag, and you know what? I love my country. I wear
Look,
that
I've respected
red
Canada
uniform,
a great amount of time. Always respected the Mounties until I've learned what the dark secrets
thank
of that
you.
organization. But still,
I
a
appreciate
good country. It's just run by crazy people.
Hey,
Without
what
getting
country is it?
political, I can't argue that because, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
We can call sentient dildo the Croatian crotch. Okay, yeah.
Did you see what he said about his suit of armor? Sentient Dildo has a suit of armor too.
He does, and it's made of latex. Fortunately, it works well for him. Yeah. So yeah, you know, Nick, you know, Paul, of course, I had to say it while you stepped away, buddy. But you know, I think that the serum that Johnny Walker got was really just the 34th flavor of Nick Weiser. You know, so.
Oh, this has been the joke that keeps on giving. Or gift, sorry, a gift that keeps on giving. I hope this
but for some
continues
reason
to
it's
the
not
bitter
worse.
end.
You know, as a little side note, you know, that will never be the super soldier serum. The one that Captain America received before World War II, at the very outset of World War II, was unique. It was never duplicated. So whatever super soldier they pumped into U.S. Agent.
That's another thing that I don't think the MCU is doing right.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the super soldier serum was said to be completely special. Cap's was perfection because it had the right amount of power, and not because many were created, and let's be honest, there was even one that turned a guy into a god.
And I think genetically too, that he was perfect genetically to have that super soldier serum rewrite him, because he was this scrawny little kid, right? This scrawny little skinny thing. And I think that when the super soldier serum was imbibed by him, when it was injected into him, it rewrote his DNA to the point whereby it could create this ultimate human being. But if you were already a tough guy, it probably isn't as effective on you. It's like
he was
I
also
wouldn't think
perfect
so, no.
psychologically.
Yeah.
He was also perfect psychologically because he was always weak. He would never enforce his own strength on someone because he knows the feeling. That's why he's a great character, and that's why they did him dirty when they turned him into Captain Hydra. Because that would be bullshit. He knows what it is to be badly treated with someone that's stronger than you. He'd never do that to someone else.
That's exactly why it's bullshit, because this draws back to the idea of what did the serum do to his brain? Well, it connects with the psychology of the person. That's why the doctor wanted... This was why the doctor was looking for someone like Steve, someone who wouldn't give up, someone that never gives into that fights the right causes and always for the right reasons, the one that
because a strong man
everybody else
has known power all his life. Because a strong man who has known power all his life may lose respect for that power, but a weak man who knows the values of strength and knows compassion can respect the power.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great callback that you guys bring up is, think back to that first Avenger movie, if we're talking about MCU only and not the books, which realistically we need to when you're talking about the show, right? Because that's the canon behind the show. It's sort of the universe and the rules that we live within. But, Steve was selected because Steve as a person was special. Right.
Yep. No further than when he was trying to play pretend when he was in the first Captain America movie when he was doing the self-sacrifice with the grenade for the drill. He's like, "Hey, everyone, get away!" And all the bigger guys weren't doing that, but it was the little guy on campus who literally did that.
And the doctor looks at the general, and the general says, "He's still scrawny."
Yeah. Oh God, I'll tell you what, man. Age has done favors for that first movie. At least that's my take up. I feel like age has definitely benefited that first Captain America movie.
Yeah, I'd say that trilogy itself. You take those three movies on their own.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. And I mean, as nuts as Evans is, he was a great Captain America. He felt like Captain America, and he obviously looked the part.
Yeah, he did. No doubt about that. He did. Although, Godzillionaire makes a good point too, though, right? The scrawny, wimpy kid becomes a tyrant because he wants revenge. I mean, that happens too.
Oh, it does.
But of course, it wasn't just about Steve being scrawny and wimpy and frail. It was the heart of gold, right? That was right. What was important about Steve. It wasn't the serum itself. It was the soul.
Yep, the little soul of, in my opinion, was the soul of the MCU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's also he's a child of his time. I think that it was a different time where it wasn't all about me too. That you worked hard for your family. You worked hard to put food on the table. It was very, very hard life, especially for the people that were not economically rich.
Yeah,
I think that's another thing too. It's a different time.
Too, he was an Irish immigrant in America in World War II.
That had just come out of a really tough time in the 30s, the 20s and the 30s, right? Mm-hmm. It was that whole culture, and he would have been, a teenager at the time, 18 years old when he got this. So he saw what his parents had gone through and what his family had gone through and friends, and so everybody was working hard, and that was that work ethic that was there too. So he was predispositioned to be that perfect super soldier, that to self-sacrifice himself. And when you look at today's society, it's really the law of diminishing returns here. Everybody's me, right? Who are you going to find that's going to take up the mantle of the shield and become that patriot that's going to stand for, truth, justice, and the American way? It's a challenge to find that person.
Exactly. Look at every modern comic book that Captain America shows up. They disrespect him. They demean him. They treat him like he has no idea what suffering is. Bitch, he comes from a time where he suffered more than you could possibly even imagine. It's fucking annoying, man.
Because
Absolutely.
They cannot see the history. They deny the history and redefine for current day.
Yeah, not just real life history, also comic book history.
Yeah, and this is a good point, right? Age has benefited the movies that didn't push the modern agenda. So, I mean, you think back to the first Avenger, Captain America. I think let's just is there anybody on the panel who didn't? I mean, maybe you weren't in love with the movie, but did you at least like it? Is there anybody who disliked it?
I did more than like it. Even whatever you might have called whatever you might have called problems with it, I thought it succeeded as not just entertaining, but it told a story I could get involved in.
Sure.
Yes, that's where I was at.
It was a hero's journey movie, realistically, right? I mean, at its core, that movie was a hero's journey. He had his failings, he had his problems. You know, he was presented with challenges that one way or another he found a way to overcome. He proved his worth more than one time. I mean, over and over and over again in that movie, until he ultimately sacrificed himself to overcome the big bad, the evil that was at the focus of that particular
sadly,
movie.
we don't have movies like that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the whole movie was a prototypical hero's journey, and it was good.
Oh yeah, it was a love letter to the golden age, and I'll say this: when the got to the point where I start to feel age did wonders for me, not just because of the idea of the hero's age being gone, because that is a valid comment about the whole ages benefit movies that don't push the my agenda. That is true, but I started to appreciate it even more. I guess more of a. You ever had times where like you like a movie and then all of a sudden, years later, you're like, oh hey, I actually like this even more now. Like I probably give it at the time probably give it like a 7.5. No, I'd probably give like a straight 8. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'd go with it now. Just right at a solid just about great. Just about.
I could be a little controversial here and say that the Captain America trilogy is the best trilogy that Marvel's put out. And that includes the Avengers movies. That includes Iron Man. Because Iron Man 3 is awful, but I think every single one of the Captain America movies were excellent. The one in the middle is the best Marvel movie. It's my favorite, and that includes Guardians of the Galaxy. That includes that travesty that was Endgame. I really, really liked that journey that he took, and that is the soldier's journey. That first movie, though it's really underestimated how good that movie was, that first Captain America movie, because that journey, he crashes himself into the ocean knowing full well he is going to die to save the planet. That you go back to talk about the grenade, absolutely, that was to save his unit, but that sacrifice that he takes that bomber down into the water knowing full well that he's never going to see Peggy again. He sacrificed everything for our planet, he comes back again in the second one. And you're like, I'm a man at a time, and that journey was really cool and fun. Those movies were great because the writing staff knew the characters, they loved the characters, they were a part of that. Yeah, maybe they didn't have the same experiences, like they weren't soldiers, they hadn't gone through World War II. There's not too many of those guys left. Salute to the veterans out there. But I think that what happened was you had people on that writing staff that truly, truly loved those characters. And that's really what's missing in this show, and what's missing in Wanda and WandaVision, and what's been missing in the movies that we've been watching lately is it's all about the platform. It's all about, getting their agenda out there. It's not about the love and the passion for these characters that those of us on the panel here share.
Dude, amen, brother. I mean, I don't think your opinion of the Captain America movies being the best that they've put together is controversial at all, man. I am with you 100%. And the original Captain America movie itself, it's in terms of a hero's journey story within the entire Marvel universe, it was the best.
Said controversial about the Captain America movies. I thought you were going to say something that you didn't like about it. I think that's the running opinion of. I mean, everybody loves things like Endgame and stuff like that, but they're singular movies. The story that's told from the first Avenger, the Winter Soldier, to Civil War is an excellent story.
Yes.
And even though Civil War has its issues, I still love seeing all those characters together. What they did is, instead of doing Endgame, they could have done a great trilogy of Civil War movies. Like that comic series was pretty good. The first one.
Oh,
at
I
the
remember that.
was
That's the only
re-
one
was
that
But there was
pretty-
never another one. There
It
was
was-
never another one, Joe.
Yeah, like once they kept trying to do it every couple of years, it was just awful. But that first one was an interesting idea. Now maybe they fumbled the ball a bit on the storyline, but that is one of my favorite arcs of Marvel Comics of all time. Was they did the Civil War? Like, what happens when two of your bastions of justice, that the American way, that are these superheroes who've had 50 years of history, all of a sudden, what if they don't agree, and then the two sides break and there's a big schism that forms, and then because of this whole, if in the Marvel movies, it's this registration, right, the Sokovia Accords, and what happens when these two people who were brothers in arms, who had bled and cried and fought together, all of a sudden fight each other. And that was a really cool premise. And so that's why I think they fumbled it a bit by just doing it in like 1 or 2 movies. They could have done that for like 6 movies there alone.
That could have
Agreed, dude. I mean,
you could have stretched an Iron Man movie out of that.
I mean, remember that scene where Cap literally left the shield when Tony told him the shield didn't belong to him? That had a lot of emotion for me. They could have done a lot more to that.
When I watched that scene.
That was,
Great
everyone loves to praise the airport hangar scene, but by far the best fight out of that entire movie was Bucky, Cap, Tony.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
those 3 right there.
Yeah, the tensions were high.
And Mike Beat, go clean your room. Go clean your room, buddy. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Toxic
This time the
man
Red Skull's
flu.
right.
Breaking down Little House on the Prairie. My goodness, dude. Good Lord. Little House on the Prairie.
I think we're a little late for that April Fool's joke there.
Here's what I'm going to say to that, TMF. I mean, I do certainly remember my sister being a big fan of Little House on the Prairie. So, I mean, is there something that you need to tell us about there, buddy? Because, I mean, if you got a thing for Little House, dude, more power to you. But hey,
Burn.
Lordy, no, dude. Oh God, I can also say all 3 of those movies, regardless of where they rank, they all have that rewatchability factor in them. Depending on which ones you like more or less, they all have that moment. And man, it's cool. What I love that what the movies did from the comics they made, because when people look at Captain America who are normies, they would think, oh, of course he's going to be the guy that sides with the state. But in the comics and the movies, like, no, he's the guy who's trying to go against the state. So I like that they went with that route, Captain America, because he is literally, he's one of those like embodiments of pro-liberty and less state interference. And I love that. It's because people, and that shows you like, yeah, if you know the character like the way we do, he's going to side with the people and freedom and liberty. That's why he's the Sentinel of Liberty.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, he's a guy that the Cap that we saw both in the Golden Age books and what you got, up through and until say 90% of the way through Endgame, right? Forget the last scene. Just forget what happens at the end. But to the point where he's standing alone in front of Thanos. Okay, up to that point, right, and through the end of that battle, the Cap that you get in the MCU is exactly what you described, Nick. He is the guy that stands for what's right, for what's just. If he is, and he doesn't care if he's standing alone in doing so. So, yeah, absolutely. The Cap that we have seen throughout all of that is 100% the guy who would say no and stand against the fascist state control. I mean, no doubt about it. And
I want to watch these movies now. You got me. Oh yeah,
dude,
I have to.
Yeah, go do that. Go do that.
And right up until the defeat of Thanos in Endgame, that's the Cap that you've got. Now, I mean, we could have a whole nother debate about him abandoning, his life to go live with Peggy that they threw in at the end of that thing. And oh, by the way, Steve did tell Bucky his plan was to give Sam the shield. That got confirmed in this episode. I'm just getting so mad at Sam that I kind of wish that Bucky had hooked up with his sister today.
Oh, I know, right?
It's
God, dude. Oh my God. I feel like everyone became. It's like a lot of their IQs turned off for the show, and I hate it that the guy who's the most, I guess you could say, rational is freaking Baron Zemo. If that ain't upside down world, that Superman doesn't fly.
Yeah, what the hell? How is Zemo the only guy who's making any fucking sense in this show? I don't get it.
Because he's the bad guy, and they're trying to write him like a sane human being.
Well, even in the
Because
comic
sane
books,
human beings are bad.
even in the comic books,
Go
Baron
ahead, Thoth.
Zemo was all about logic.
Oh, of course.
He's anal. He's one of
Of
those people that demands order and perfection, and that's part of his reason why he's a supervillain. He's insane, and that's something that that was better. He was a soldier that got broken because of what happened to his family in the movies. Obviously, the comics are way different, but this character should not be written as though he is a good bad guy. Like,
Yeah,
he's a
he
terrorist.
should be.
He's evil. That is why he is a super villain. Yeah, and he uses his genius and his mind and his intellect to be able to
Dude,
strategize and able to defeat the good
Doc.
guys. He's a master strategist.
Doc, come on. These guys have no idea what a real terrorist is like.
Well, they don't know
I
how
mean,
to
they have
write.
members in their
That's the
cast
problem.
that literally support terrorism
Yeah.
at its fullest.
Yeah,
They have no idea.
Robert, I've got very, very good news for you, buddy. I don't think you're going to have to keep hating on Zemo because we do have the Black Widow movie coming out. and we know Scarlett Johansson's done, dead, and out of it. So it would not shock me whatsoever if one of those hot female Russians that you think Zemo killed wasn't killed in that movie, buddy. Because we got to set a new Black Widow.
Yep.
That's gonna be Scarlett's last film. She's done. They're gonna have someone replace her as Black Widow, and my guess is that movie will be average to good at best. And maybe the movie might have woke elements, but it won't be Scarlett. That is, it'll be the people who are not her that will be the wokesters.
I'll watch it because it's ScarJo. I'll watch anything she's in. I'll just mute the volume and just watch her.
Particularly the scenes where she's walking away from the camera in the cat suit, right?
Oh, that leather outfit is very nice.
So you must be
Her and
thinking.
Gal Gadot are my two favorite women to watch walk away from me.
So you must be thinking of the scene where she was trying to interrogate Loki in the first Avengers. You know what scene I'm talking about, Thoth.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
That's really
that is
this
a good
is
scene.
building into what
It
I
is.
no
It's a
longer
great scene.
into something.
But not just for those particular, interrogation reasons. But
I knew exactly what you were referring to. Absolutely.
Walk away, baby. Just walk away. Yeah, like
Now,
that.
probably just one of them, Robert.
They're
But
so toxic.
it's almost a certainty that at least one of them is going to be around in that movie, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you saw there was a character in this show that showed up, a woman in the end. So all the original fans know who she is. I've been reported about her appearance. You
Well,
guys
go
know
ahead.
who she is?
I got to admit, I was in the dark about who she was, although she's obviously going to be running U.S. Agent with his new shield that he made out of his own fucking metals.
Yeah, that was Valentina de Fontaine de Allegra. She was Nick Fury's lover for some time. She also ran S.H.I.E.L.D. for some years. But didn't work out because, well, only Nick Fury can run S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, let's
I
also
agree with
point
Mike
out
B.
U.S. Agent now has a woman boss. He's got a girl boss.
Valentina.
So we're gonna see.
And the way they rid her.
We're gonna see
Look,
Rachel
I'm sure
Weisz.
they're gonna write her like a bitch. This is going in the direction of the fucking Daughters of Liberty. I can see it.
So Rachel Weisz is going to be in the Black Widow movie as the original Black Widow, I think, right? Melina something or other, Melina Voss. Voskov or something. Anyway, if we're going to talk about what's going to happen with this movie, so you're going to have Yelena Belova, which was the second Black Widow, that from the comic books, which was a character that kind of failed. It's the same kind of comic characters that they try to introduce to take over from the original characters that never work out. So we know that Natasha Romanoff
hang on, Thoth, real quick though. Sentient Dildo's got a question for you about her.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny that when a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung.
Oh man,
Okay,
I can just feel the testosterone oozing on this panel.
Thank you. I really appreciated that. I need to go.
We're all canceled.
Fine by me.
I was canceled
we do tend to get
years
rid of
ago,
that.
my friend. You catch up, brother.
Hey, okay.
Oh, he's thinking some very ambitious flavors.
The Wanda Melon.
The Wanda Melon. Are there any successful Marvel mantle passing stories? Now, this is an
Depends on how you
interesting
define
No.
that. Depends
Modern
on how you
speaking,
define it.
no. No. Modernly, no. Modernly, no.
I would say so. I'll toss one out, and I'm curious to get your guys' opinion on this.
Okay.
The Human Torch.
Johnny Storm.
Who took
But the
who
original
took his
Human
place?
Torch was
Johnny
an android.
Storm wasn't the original.
So the original.
Oh yeah,
Human
the
Torch
cyborg one.
He was part
The
of the
android
Invaders.
one.
Yeah, I
he
was gonna
was-
say you're
yeah,
thinking
the
of the
android.
Invaders.
So
Yeah,
that
the
was
android,
Namor,
the
Captain America, the original Human Torch.
Wizard.
Because Toro was his sidekick, which was human. But so there was two, right? There was the Torch, which was the android, and then of course Toro, which was his sidekick. So yeah, that's an interesting point, actually, Jake D. That's a deep cut because that was very much a early comic rendition of those characters based in the 1940s. But I'm trying to think.
Danny Ketch, Johnny Blaze. I mean, Danny Ketch is likable, but at the end of the day, Johnny Blaze is still Ghost Rider. But Danny Ketch, I do like Danny Ketch. I'll say that. I do like Danny Ketch. But it's one of those things where as much as I liked it, it's like, okay, I can enjoy this to an extent. And I don't really consider a mantle passing fully because the current timeline and the future timeline, especially when they're, half a century apart, don't really mean anything to me. But I do love Miguel O'Hara, and in Spider-Man 2099, he feels like his own character. And now
That's
Peter
what I
Parker
was going to
reskin.
bring up. The 2099 runs, those were all mantle passes.
Yes.
They threw them out 100 years. And
Wasn't
I enjoyed every 2099 comic.
Oh, I love those comics.
Wasn't Doom like the same Doom, just in the future?
Doom? No, I don't think he was. I gotta reread those. I have a lot of those Doom 2099 books. God. I'm gonna go with Miles Morales as a Peter Parker paint job. I'll leave at that with another monster.
Well, also,
Yeah,
what about
so
Bucky?
Doom 2099 was Victor Von Doom because what happened was he had disappeared in an experiment back like 100 years before, back in our time. And so when he came through this energy sphere into the ruin, it was the ruins of Castle Doom in Latveria. He started over again, and that's when he created his new cyborgs and all of that from that comic series. That actually was a pretty good 2099 comic series. I actually enjoyed that. But yeah, that was actually Victor Von Doom.
Really? See, I can't remember that, but I believe you. Obviously, you're not going to be one to steer me wrong as far as comic knowledge goes. I haven't read those in a while. I've been rereading Ghost Rider 2099 recently, so now I'm going to dig up for the Doom books.
I have developed a special achievement for the person who tries to contradict Thoth on comic book lore. So, apparently none of y'all are stupid enough to do that today. So
no, you don't. You just don't.
It's an impossible
do
mission.
that.
It's an impossible mission.
No, I'll tell you what though. I mean, granted, it's only partially rated. I will say DC has done a much vastly superior job as far as mantle passing goes, because obviously you've had the many Robins, and also I love Dick Grayson better as Nightwing. like way better. I like him as his own hero, not needing to rely on Bruce. And of course, I love the suit. And on top of it, his quote, even though people think, oh, he's just like because he grew up, raised with Batman, that Nightwing must mean a dark name, but really he's a Superman fan. The whole Nightwing name was eternally reborn to start anew.
Yeah, Nightwing was actually a Kryptonian creature.
Yes, he's a Superman fan, Dick Grayson. He respects the soups.
I thought the Nightwing in Kryptonian lore was a hero himself.
He was a hero, but it was also a god, the name of a god.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you can't forget. I'm a Barry Allen guy through and through, but I do like Wally West, and so I do like that mantle. And maybe it's because DC had been doing it for so long that they already have the history right off the bat with the mantles. So if that answers your question a bit better.
Okay, and here's the thing about passing
there's
mantle.
a difference here too, though. Okay, so let's.
I know that. Okay,
take a look
guys.
at. Well, hang on one sec, Fenrir. Get this in.
Oh,
so when you look at DC mantle passings, it's of a very different fashion and style, right? So let's talk about Green Lantern. What makes somebody a Green Lantern, right? I mean, it's the ring choosing its new bearer more than anything else, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the choice of the ring to create the new Green Lantern. So that is a mantle that can pass. Okay, and then you take a look at Robin.
We forgot something though. It's the ability to overcome fear. That's kind of a modern take too. It's not the man without fear, like that's Daredevil, but that it used to be that you had no fear, but everybody feels fear. So I like that the ability to overcome fear is what makes a Green Lantern. Yeah,
but Robin is clearly a mantle that can be passed, right?
And it continues to be time and again. He's an actual mantle character.
Yeah.
And let's be fair, Batman is a mantle that could be passed as well.
I did like Dick Grayson's run as Batman.
Back to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I don't know if it would work.
I did. I'm not gonna lie. I did enjoy Dick Grayson's run as Batman with Damian Wayne as his Robin. I did enjoy that.
Oh yeah, same here.
In the end, I still need Dick. I still need Bruce to take the place from Dick.
We know what you need, Fenrir. Hey, Senshin Dildo, where are you at, buddy?
Okay, who the fuck came out with these comic book names? Seriously, his name is Richard. How is Dick short for Richard?
Blame the British.
Batman is an interesting take. This is a really interesting philosophical discussion about passing the mantle, and something that when you've been a character for 80 years and you've been called Bruce Wayne is Batman, period, right? It's interesting to say, well, can you pass the mantle on? I know they've tried to do it in other comics. They've tried to do it in Batman Beyond. Because every time that Dick Grayson tries to take over as Batman, they kind of fail. But
can I say something here?
Yeah, fire away, man.
I have this crazy psychological belief that passing a mantle.
That's actually pretty accurate.
That's probably actually true. I'm sure you probably actually have to have a bucket by him for that too.
It's a man, baby.
Okay, you crazy man. I have this belief that it's. Oh, look. Okay, fuck off, Mike Beast. Fuck off. Fuck off. I don't swing like that. Okay. Okay, look, I don't like a lot of these mental and legacy passings. I mean, they can be done correctly with time and if the character's done correctly, but I don't really like it. Okay, can I please try to end the fucking sentence before everyone tries to make a dick joke?
Here, I'll mute myself just a sec.
Fucking dick jokes. Okay.
You were saying
I don't really like this don't like this concept of legacy character because we passed the legacy. Look, most of the population of these worlds have no idea that the character is a new person when the legacy's passed. Sometimes I really think it's the same guy because either A, he does not age, because let's admit that wouldn't be too far-fetched with all the shit that goes around in that world. So, yeah, they pass, for example, when the Kid Flash position was passed to Bart Allen, which was a horrible idea. It's not a safe thing to do because these characters are symbols. They symbolize good people and heroism. But if you pass it to someone else who can do, well, let's say, incredibly bad mistakes, they can really tarnish that character's name and reputation.
Yep, they can. Absolutely, man. But oh dear.
Because Second Dilla, fuck off. Why the fuck are all you being so fucking goddamn it?
We love you, Fenrir.
It's like speaking of fucking children.
Oh, to be fair, I've questioned how much I've mentally grown up. I mean, I admit it.
Oh, I admit that I haven't. Yeah.
I mean, dude, I talk about being moist.
I'm a very childish person, but come on, this is just too much.
It was the doctor who said. It was the doctor who once said, "What's the point in being adult if you can't be childish every now and then?"
There you go, man. But so mantles. So a mantle is not, to me, a power set in a sense, right? I mean, it is something physical you could pass from one person to another. So to your point about DC doing it better, DC did it mainly with things that were capable of being passed, right? So the Green Lantern ring, the Robin name, whatever have you, right? So that's all stuff that can be taken up by somebody new. So, but then you look at Marvel and Cap is Cap. Cap can't be anybody other than Steve Rogers because it's not just who he is today, or at least before they made him the fucking Hydra agent. That is not the only essence of Cap.
Agreed.
Okay, Cap is the backstory. Cap is the kid he was before he got the serum. Cap is the man with the heart of gold that is always going to try to do what's right. He's the guy who overcame, the guy who had the obstacles and found a way to succeed despite all things being against him, right? So, and then the values that are who he is just then become enhanced by the powers, right? So Cap cannot be anybody except Steve, period. Falcon running around with the shield is not Cap. Okay, I'm sorry, but Sam, you will never be Cap. It's got nothing to do with anything other than the fact that Cap is Steve, because it's an essence of a singular person. Okay, same thing with Thor, right? You can't have another Thor. Thor is Odin's son. Okay, now maybe you could pass them powers to somebody else, but that's not fucking Thor.
Yep.
Okay, that's
with Spider-Man. We come for the
red
and blue white suit.
It's literally the guy's name. I mean,
hold on. You come for Spider-Man for the red and blue suit, but you stick around for the person who Peter Parker is. And that's how Marvel's heroes work. You come for their power set, but you stick around for who they are as an individual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the person in it. That is what the Marvel characters are. So you can't, maybe by some unfathomable imagination of Ta-Nehisi Coates, fucking Jane Foster can suddenly pick up Mjolnir, but that doesn't make her Thor
worthy. Yeah, I mean, and the powers of Thor have been passed to other people. In the past, there was Stormbreaker, Beta Ray Bill. Many characters were given powers of Asgard and did it.
But they never called themselves Thor.
They never called him Thor.
No, they didn't. Because
Beta
Thor is the guy's name. He is literally the god. It's not a fucking title.
Exactly.
By the way, for the record, I still own that entire run of Thor with Jane Foster. The worst part of that run was Jane Foster. Like, I could not stand that character, but there were elements of that I loved. I loved the War Thor character they brought in.
Oh, Volstagg?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was Volstagg. I mean, you can't also forget Donald Blake as well. I mean, I know Thoth would probably remember even more than I can because you had Donald Blake. You also had what was it? Eric Masterson was Thunderstrike or
Yep.
something like that.
Yep,
Yeah,
you're absolutely
thank
right.
you. Okay, good. I
Thunderstrike.
was like, okay.
Yeah, because it was the actual hammer, and in Dr. Donald Blake's case, it was the staff that transformed into and that he could only, if he dropped it for 60 seconds, he turned back into Donald Blake when he was Thor. So that's why he had to always have the hammer with him. That's a good point. And Eric Masterson too was the same thing. It was the transformation into Thor because the hammer imbued the power of Thor to those people, but they were never actually the man Thor. It was just another alternate guise whereby Thor took the place of Donald Blake, for example. They just switched. And so, that's a really good point, actually. I wanted to make a little side note about if we're comparing DC versus Marvel here too, if I can sneak in for a sec. Don't forget that the Teen Titans were created in the 1960s, in 1965, in The Brave and the Bold, to be that kind of mantle passing for all the big hunts. So you had Robin and you had Kid Flash, you had Wonder Girl, Aqualad. Those were the original Titans.
Speedy.
Yeah, Speedy. Well, yeah, Speedy came later on, but in the 80s they also tried to reboot it too, right? And the New Teen Titans, which was an amazing comic book, because then you had Changeling and Cyborg and Raven and Starfire became part of that team. And so it was kind of, you had the traditional mantle passing of Robin and the team from the 60s, but you also had the new characters, and that became incredibly popular, which leads into stealing Cyborg into the Justice League for the latest Snyder cut and the Snyder movie. I think DC has certainly done it better, because what they did is they just made junior versions of the characters that could be mentored and trained by the big dogs. So you had Batman, you had Wonder Woman teaching these younger versions of themselves how to be heroes. But in Marvel, what you're doing is you're just taking the shield, or you're taking the hammer, or you're taking the suit, and you're just giving it to somebody else without having that passing on of the torch, that really cool storyline that you could take with these characters. Where's old Cap? Why isn't he helping to mentor this new version of Captain America? If that's what you want to do, I appreciate that he's probably $5 million a picture or $10 million a picture, but where are these characters to mentor the new characters? You don't have them. So you kind of have that gap between the story of what we want to see and what they're trying to sell us.
Yeah, and Cap's not dead at this point in the timeline, as far as we know. So he could easily.
The super soldier.
Something was
ages him
mentioned
slowly
that
a bit,
he was dead by the time that this came about.
See, I didn't catch that, Draco.
Neither did I. Where did that come from?
I'm still I had been trying to look it up for a while. Someone mentioned that he was actually dead in continuity. Not to mention, actually, he's also missing. He's in another timeline.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I've heard that rumor too. I can't remember what stream I heard it on. I think we were probably on the same stream, Draco, but I think
they considered him dead. I think they considered him dead because you can't find him.
You also
have to go back in time to pick him up at or use some kind of dimension crossing. You'd have to go to world 7652.
Except he was there to hand Sam the shield, which means he's in the
universe.
Which
is the big motherfucking plot hole.
Yeah, it is.
That was one of the most massive plot holes of Endgame.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the fact of the matter is, Steve was there to hand Sam the shield, which means he's still there in the world that Sam is in right now.
So what's he doing? Hang out like some retirement home area then? What's he doing?
Well, we know Peggy is dead.
We don't know.
Peggy is dead, right?
Peggy's dead. Yeah.
Because he went to her funeral as young Cap. And maybe he just got retired and shuffled away somewhere, and They listed him as killed in action or missing in action or something. I don't know. I haven't seen this show, so I don't know if they mentioned it in the first
But
episode.
Cap can show up. I mean, they have shown us that Isaiah is an old man, but he still has the aptitudes of a super soldier, so they could bring Cap too. They could bring him back.
Yeah. Well, perhaps he should. I mean, here's what I'd say to that, Eric, is I don't think it was wrong to show him as having gotten old there in 2023 after having hopped back to the 50s to hook up with Peggy. He was something. Somebody did the math one time, and I want to say he was like 135 years old, maybe older, and he looked like he was 85, 90 at the end
A
game.
bit too old.
Yeah,
Still think it's a bit too old. I mean, the serum really slows the aging process too, so he should be a little younger.
Yeah, because he's not. He doesn't regenerate. He can heal quickly. And he's certainly got extended life from the serum, but he's not immortal like Wolverine.
I agree, Jeff.
That also has to do from adaptation qualification. If you want to say that, he's this thing or that thing now, then they can make examples for it in the MCU, and it can differ from the adaptation from the comic books. But I would still go to a comic book aficionado to basically tell me, what have they done in the comics to back that up?
I mean, fair question, but if we're discussing Marvel shows and MCU, yes, you can look at the comics, but we've all accepted long ago that the comics are not the specific origin and continuity of the MCU and its attendant shows. I mean, we know that.
Oh, and in that, at least you have an example in Isaiah, or I'm going to screw up his name again, Isaac.
Isaiah Bradley.
Isaiah. Yeah.
He is aged, and we don't know what the aging process is. We also don't know did he actually age while he was on ice? Theoretically, he might have stayed in state, preserved by the...
Yeah, it was never explained. I always took it as he was in stasis, but they never said outright.
Guys.
So I think that's interpretation.
You know what's weird? There's no news today at all about it being the 83rd birthday of Superman. Just throwing that out there. Just kind of, random. No one's talking about it.
I would not say that's any kind of surprise to me at all.
I know it's not relevant to the topic, but it's kind of funny how you're not hearing about it on the world.
So today is the 83rd anniversary of Superman?
Yeah.
And what the hell?
How in the world?
How did I not hear about this?
What does that tell you?
Of these ones?
I mean,
no one cares anymore. Fuck.
Well, you'd think that DC would be going out and doing one of two things. Either they'd be like flashing pictures of Cavill, or they'd be, fucking Ta-Nehisi Coates would be throwing out there something about, hey, on this 83rd birthday of Superman, look forward to my new Superman movie. I mean, there's nothing.
Nope, there's not a fucking thing. It just shows you how embarrassed they are of their character, the same way Marvel is showing how embarrassed they are of Captain America.
In fairness,
how this all connects, by the way.
I mean, Eric K is saying it's his 80th, and it's been all over the place.
Well, 80th was a few years ago when they decided to make a very awful decision by bringing a certain Bendis on board to their Superman comic book.
Yeah, and now they're doing the film with Ta-Nehisi Coates.
No, I'm not going to speak anymore on that book. I'm not going to talk about Bendis' book right now.
Bendis is soon to become the second person on my shit list, next to Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm sorry, I may do a crime in the future, so yeah, in about 10 to 15 years, you might want to lose contact with me.
Interesting, because I saw nothing on Twitter.
Now, I need to make an appeal here. Thoth,
fire away. I didn't want to interrupt everybody, so go ahead.
What anniversary of the creation of Superman is it right now?
To be about 82 or 83, it should be.
83.
Because his
It's for sure
80th
83.
birthday was a couple of years ago. I have the comics.
Yep, I do too. It was the Action Comics number 1000, which is April 18th, 2018. Now we're 3 years later, which
Okay.
makes
Yep.
83.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so it is 83. Okay,
83,
very good,
yep.
very good.
Yep.
Eric was very sure it said 80th on Twitter. So
No. 80th would have been 3 years ago.
So, hey, Fenrir, Mike Beats got a question for you there, buddy.
Action comic.
Oh my god! Someone has to make a promotional Okay, fuck off. Someone has to make a promotional picture of Superman against Muhammad Ali. Oh, for fuck's sake! I'm trying to be serious here. One of my favorite heroes is being tarnished on his day. For fuck's sake, people, have respect.
You know, I feel you there, Sentient Dildo. I feel you, buddy. Oh man. So I don't know, guys. I continue to watch this Falcon show because it just gets more and more of an
Ridiculous.
obvious train wreck every single episode. And you know, we're going to get to a point where Fenrir.exec stopped working.
You say train wreck. I think of just like a large group of very heavy individuals just sort of like falling over kind of like dominoes in slow motion. It's played out over a long period of time, and all of the motion is exaggerated, and it doesn't seem like a train wreck. A train wreck would at least be exciting. There'd be cars crumpling up against each other and crunching and twisting and metal and screeching and things like that. This is just like, oh look, there's another moment, and I just go away.
If I could just mention a comment that was made a little earlier there, like he's great here and chiming in. I didn't want to interrupt, but there was a discussion about aging and about being in suspended animation. So cryogenic storage, the theory is that, yes, metabolically you still age, but at an extremely decreased rate. So 100 years would be like you aged like a couple of months because your body still has some aging that's going on, but metabolically you'd be slowed down to a crawl. So yeah, if he was in suspended animation or cryogenic storage or freezing for a long period of time, then yeah, he could still die of old age if it was a million years in the future. I think Stargate actually did a really good job of that, because in an Atlantis episode, they did that whole thing where she was cryogenically frozen Shepard was cryogenically frozen for like a million years, but yet when he came out, he had aged, but yet he was still not that much older. So yeah, that's the theory behind that.
That makes sense to me, right? Because that's sort of what it is. When I mean, you think about use cryogenic freezing today. It's tech. It exists. It's a real thing. And anybody who gets thrown in there is basically just boom, locked in as they are when they go into freezing. So that's how I always interpreted Cap in the Ice.
There's some scientific idea to the actual replication of DNA being a sort of timer on your age, and you simply wouldn't do as much replication in cold storage. So you last a bit longer, but it continues to, at least at the rate of chemical transposition, you keep aging.
Yeah, exactly. Just slower.
Yeah, which makes
slower.
sense.
That's much slower.
You guys like it slower, huh? Well,
moist,
okay.
Slower and moist.
It's a mood thing. Yeah, it's all about the mood.
Is that the 25th flavor, Nick? Because I just
there's variations of that 25th flavor. Sometimes it's moist, sometimes it's old age.
Number 25, slow and easy, wiser.
Dude, you guys missed on my last Tuesday live stream. I got a bunch of moist tips. It was great.
So, I mean, does anybody here have any hope that this show could possibly close out in any way that's remotely satisfying.
With
Are you
one
kidding?
episode
Not
left,
based
I
on
mean,
example.
that's a good joke. I'll give you credit, Jake. That's a really good joke.
Well, we are going to get to see. Oh, the Ethno State has delivered to Sam his new costume. By the way, that we're going to get to see here in the final episode.
From Wakanda.
That's what was-
They made a suit.
Yeah,
I
Yeah, with
I really don't care to see that costume. All this show can burn in an endless fire for all I care.
yeah, it's. That's right, Eric. That's right. Yeah, Nick definitely does enjoy the moist tip. That's for sure.
Dude, that's when I go live, man. I want the tip of your tips, and I like them moist.
Just the tip.
saying. Just
For
the
one of
tip.
The tip.
For
The
one
tip
of the
of
rare
your tips.
For one of the rare times of my life, I'm speechless.
Well, I know you got a little shocked when you got the tip there, Thoth, but I mean,
You did there, Jake. Good dad joke. Good dad joke.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
but yeah.
Oh, for Christ's sake, the only thing I'm finding about this Superman Day is a picture of Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Nothing else.
Look up Action Comics #1. Action Comics #1, the first appearance of Superman, which was issued on April 18th.
About Action Comics #1.
Well, you're looking then you're looking for current stuff about it, and that's just it. They're blackballing it.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't want Superman to be the big hero.
Yeah. So,
No,
well,
absolutely
of
not.
course not, man. Just like Marvel doesn't want, your Steves, your Odin sons, and guys like that. I mean, with Iron Man out of the picture, one of the things that we have seen from the Falcon show is that Wakanda is now the source of all technology and power in the MCU.
Because somehow Tony Stark's white, and he would just shaft everyone, leave them behind with no help to help them get by after his passing. Right.
Yes.
Totally buy that. Totally buy that.
Tony gave everybody the shaft, and now Wakanda is going to be the source of all that's right and good in the MCU. Because Cap is now evil in the person of Johnny Walker, and Iron Man is dead, but he was a horrible warmonger, and of course, so all you got left is the Dora Milaje in Wakanda to supply everybody, and that's exactly what we're getting.
And the rules don't apply to them because jurisdiction is a thing until except
Again,
for
we tend to
Wakanda,
forget
then you
that
are exempt
Wakanda-
because Wakanda forever.
People really tend to forget that Wakanda is pretty much a country with a government that if they all decided to kill people, no one could go against them. They're literally an empire state, an empire.
They are, and
No opposition.
And have you noticed that they don't appear to be subject to the Sokovia Accords?
Yeah,
No,
what makes
apparently
them
not.
so exempt?
Because they're black people in a super nation.
Because when they were going to sign the Sokovia Accords, their building got blown up around them, so they haven't officially signed it. Do you remember?
I do.
That's when
Right.
The current Black Panther was killed, or the former Black Panther was killed. The King of Wakanda was killed, and then his son had to take over, but they hadn't gotten around to signing them. So if they're not part of the Sokovia Accords here in the TV show, that actually makes sense and follows continuity. But this whole thing is way off book. Obviously, in the Marvel universe, this is not the case because Wakanda is very insular. They're very much a nation under their own, and it's just like Atlantis in the Marvel
Which is
universe in the
fine.
comics.
Yeah, that's
Which
fine.
is fine.
Yeah.
But in this show, that
doing
bothers
it.
me.
Yeah, they're doing it for a reason because they want it to be like, well, they're special because of who they are and what's on their skin. I'm okay with Wakanda being exclusive country. I feel like that's what makes the story of the Black Panther cool and unique, is that it is very exclusive in that sense. But when they're in this day and age where they want to say, oh, everything is for everyone, but they have no problem contradicting themselves 5 minutes after they make that statement with, well, we're promote Wakanda as this advanced country who, well, this is for them only and not for anyone else. Like, really, guys? Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Clearly that's going to be the central focus of the
how exactly
going forward, man.
Look, I don't want to insult Stan Lee or Jack Kirby or any person who's ever actually worked on Black Panther, but how did they create this technology? Because they were literally a country that was cut away from the world, and it was proven. When a country is cut away from the world, they are cut from the things the world outside creates, specific tools and forms that help evolve. So how did they create the technology? Because if not only except the Wakandan ore that fell from the sky, if aliens have fell too, I would believe it. But how could they have created this technology with just vibranium?
They're really smart.
Yeah, a lot of the early.
Yeah, that really doesn't. That still doesn't cut it. I mean,
That's
there
the
are
explanation.
Yeah, a lot of the early.
there are
T'Challa didn't have
mechanisms.
that.
There
That's
are
more
mechanisms and things that would need a contact with the outside world to create. So,
All right.
Yeah,
So, I don't know, man.
That
That's
is.
just
Technically, you don't know that. You don't know the history. The whole idea is that you could make up a history, but because they're not willing to do that, they're not willing to give us anything that makes any sort of sense. They just said, super science, it happened, pow.
And Mary G, you have summarized the point of view of the fandom menace to a T. They destroy what we love because it's what they feed on. They can't create their own heroes. They only know how to tear down.
and when they create their own heroes, they fail horribly and blame us all.
Yeah,
No.
I am not Starfire, right?
They'll
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
just
that's a
heroes
great-
Hey, you know
and
what's
look
fun?
bad by comparison.
There is no news on that thing. There's no new information on that. It's like it's been forgotten in the shadows. No one's heard anything from it. No one's
It's
heard
because it's
anything.
gone. It's gone like the new Warriors. Snowflake and Safe Space.
Oh, yay. It looks like it should be coming out in July.
Yeah, the major comic studios right now, Marvel and DC, are in dire straits. So anything that was coming out of DC that isn't the main characters, you're probably not going to see. So that garbage that you were talking about, that Starfire stuff, that's not going to happen probably.
Probably won't. I almost wanted to just to shred on it for a video.
You and a lot of other people, Nick. All right, guy. I'm totally just fucking talked out with the woke.
Okay, and I kind of wanted to speak this thing with Lord Thoth here. Why do they constantly try to turn aliens that look like humans in comic books into, well, human races and shit like that? Because, I mean, they're aliens, right? I mean, right? Because
Are you saying why do they make them? So you make them carbon-based life form humanoids?
Okay, for example, we have Starfire. She is literally orange skin, not brown skin, not fair skin,
Tamaranian.
orange.
She's Tamaranian.
Orange. Yeah, so why turn her black? She is orange. Get someone that's also orange because that shade of skin color exists. There are people that have orange skin color.
Are you talking about casting in the TV show by making
Yeah, pretty much.
Starfire a black actress? We know why
Yeah,
they
pretty
made
much.
Starfire a black actress.
Yeah. All right.
It's all about politics and stuff. But in the comic books, aliens to make them humanoid makes them able. So when the reader is looking at it, you can empathize, sympathize, and
but the
feel
whole
with those
species,
characters.
the whole species was literally orange.
Yep, they're Tamaranians. Yep, and
I mean, the only one who kind of looked human
Wait,
was
Fenrir.
Blackfire.
Sentient dildo has got it.
And because
Yeah, that makes
Orange
sense.
Woman bad. Orange Woman bad.
Yeah, that makes.
All right,
Yeah,
gentlemen,
but
we are gonna shift topics here. So I want to get into this shit about KK, right? In, out, what have you. And we have got yet another guest for the panel who really wanted to talk about the in and out of KK. Because, I mean, from what I gather, the Redshirt apparently has just got a thing for the in and outs with KK. So figure we'd bring him in on this one. Redshirt, how are you, my brother?
I'm doing great. And speaking as an expert on the old in out, I figured this was a topic that was right up my alley.
Experts on the in-out. Maybe you wish to go into details about that, sir.
Well,
Just read Clockwork Orange.
All right. So, guys, we have got yet another rumor that came up in the past couple days that says KK is out as the head of Lucasfilm. And this is shortly on the heels. It came out from Doomcock 2 days ago, I think it was, right? And this is shortly on the heels of a Clownfish TV rumor that, KK was out and Favreau was in. Both channels that I respect and enjoy. But I think I've heard rumors that KK was out as the head of Lucasfilm. I want to say I've been hearing that she was imminently going to be fired for like 18 months now.
Mm-hmm. I think we heard like she was going to be fired before she got an extension on her contract.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'll believe it when it's official.
Look, one can only hope.
But even
One can only
if it
hope.
were
But until it
true,
happens,
yeah.
until she is literally booted,
Okay,
Right.
but
until she's
okay, let's
literally
just say
booted,
all you
I'm
guys
not going
are
to believe
right.
it.
Even
So-
if it does happen, I honestly think it could possibly get even worse.
It could. So
I hope they fire the whole team.
That is always
You
possible.
gotta just do the whole
Redshirt-
team.
Yeah, Redshirt specifically wanted to get into this one, so
Okay,
I want to.
I'll stop
So,
speaking.
Redshirt, I want to hear your thoughts on this as we get going. And guys, I will be back in like 2 minutes. So you guys, boom, go nuts, and I will be right back.
Go red shirt.
Okay.
Snook his channel.
My understanding of this is that until the Forbes article came out, I would have said there is no chance. But Cameron on Midnight's Edge had a really interesting take on the significance of the Forbes article, which was it didn't mention KK. It was an attack directly on Disney's CEO. And it said that the firing of Gina Carano showed mismanagement and hypocrisy, and it put him in a corner. And he said, Bob Chapek now has the excuse from the club because, as he said, Forbes is the spokesman for the club. He's got cover now. He didn't before. So now the question is, does Chapek have the stones to actually remove KK and all of her people? Because they are going to go if she goes. If Disney decides to take KK out of Lucasfilm, everybody she brought in will go, and odds are Favreau will be the last man standing. Now, whether that has actually happened, we're going to have to wait and see what the news brings. But this is the first time that I've thought it was even possible for KK to be dynamited out of her position. And that's what it would take, is quite a large charge of dynamite. Probably 3 sticks should do it. I think it's very intriguing, and I think the possibilities there. But I'm not going to say it's happened, because we don't know that yet. And all we have are the rumors. So I've got a wheelbarrow full of salt right next to me here.
Yeah,
so
and
I'm taking with this.
Now, I do know, Redshirt, that KK is absolutely an expert on 3 sticks, but I mean, from what I understand, she's quite talented with 3 sticks. But that being said, you see, I'm with you with the wheelbarrow of salt on this. And the main reason being because we keep hearing it, and we keep hearing it, and we keep hearing it, and it keeps not happening. It keeps not being true. It keeps not being true. Now, I totally agree that Favreau is the last man standing if she is indeed out. Okay, but Robert, I don't know that Robert's wrong here, man. For real. I mean,
well,
I-
not
I
in our
mean,
lifetime. Not in our
I-
lifetime at all.
I can't read this because it gets into the stuff that gets channels nuked, but that could be precisely why she's still around. So I mean, who knows, right? It certainly feels like she's got something on someone's in order to remain. But then again, you also heard Chapek announce at the shareholders meeting that they love her and her position is secure. So I mean, I love Doomcock. I love Clownfish. I do believe that they have both legitimately heard these rumors, but I'm just left with I think people are making shit up, or they're intentionally misleading them. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'll let you guys go first.
I don't know anymore. I don't know
I
anymore.
think there's certainly a bit.
We've lived through this over and over and over and over and over again that I'm just tired. So someone else just take the stand.
I think there's certainly a bit of wish fulfillment in it. That I mean, hell, I think I'm pretty. I don't think I speak alone here when I say that I would certainly be happy to see her go, and that I can enjoy the notion of it. But it's like we were hearing like her contract expires at like November. I think realistically, what we're looking at is they're just going to kind of ride her contract out, and depending on the Indiana Jones stuff, I don't know how that's going. I think that realistically, she's going to be able to just ride her contract out, and then they'll just if this was true, they'll probably just have her quietly step back and take away her decision-making abilities.
Yeah, I mean, Mike makes the point here. She's going to stay around as the executive producer for Indiana Jones. She clearly has some pretty significant creative control on that Indiana Jones movie from the recent news that we're hearing around Indiana Jones, man. I mean, you got Phoebe Waller-Bridge coming in there. You got, just announced, was it Mads Mikkelsen they just announced was going to be in it?
Yes.
And I mean, Kennedy clearly has some very significant creative control over the Indiana Jones 5 movie. I'm shocked that Ford is still doing it. I can't even imagine the size of the truck of money they must have backed up to his mansion to get him to do this.
I think it was a coal train, Jake T.
Yeah.
Probably
I'm guessing
about
they're just gonna
50
plane.
cars.
JD, JD, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Movie? What movie are you talking about? I heard nothing about an Indiana Jones movie in the making.
Oh yeah.
You're all
Indiana
crazy.
Jones
There's no
5,
such
it's
thing.
a thing.
No such thing. There was never even a fourth one. How can there be a fifth one? There is no such thing, gentlemen. No such thing.
That's right. Crystal Skull was a figment of our imagination. A
Of our
nightmare.
collective, drug-fueled, insane imagination. Nothing more.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yes, the Indiana Jokes movie will be a smash hit. You betcha it will, man. Yeah, KK put her people in place to control everything, even when she's gone, is what Eric K says. And now that's a little bit contrary to what you were suggesting there, Redshirt. So I'm curious your thoughts there.
I think the statement that she will be in charge of the Indiana Jones movie, but she may not get a contract renewed to continue to be head of Lucasfilm, and I think that's entirely possible because that would be her face saver. That would be her face saver. She's the executive producer of Indiana Jones while they quietly don't renew her contract at Lucasfilm. And all I'm saying is this is the first time I've thought that any of these rumors could even be possible.
Okay.
I don't think it's not news yet. It's rumor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yes, she's going to get Indiana Jones. She's had that for some time. She's owned that property. Nobody's taking that away from her. So they have to let her run that into the wall, and she will. Because as Fenrir pointed out, 4 didn't even exist.
Nope.
And, there are 3 Indiana Jones movies. I don't know what they think they're doing.
Well, 2.5.
Oh God!
Oh.
No.
I didn't like Short
I
Round.
had to.
As an ex-military man, you didn't like Short Round. I love
like
that
the name.
nickname. I like the name. Well, actually, that was an appropriate name for his character because
He was the best character in the movie.
Yeah, he was. But no, I'm not going to say this is happening. This is not yet happening, but it's believable for me for the very first time, which is really what I'm going, okay, maybe there's a ray of hope here because I see a path to this. And thank you to Kamran Pasha for laying this out. And I've watched him on Midnight's Edge a couple of times now to make sure I understood all of his points, because that's a man who's been in the belly of the beast and he knows how these people operate and he knows how that business works.
Agreed.
And he's pretty adamant that there's a whole lot of people at Lucasfilm today who will never work in Hollywood again because there's nobody else in Hollywood that wants to have anything to do with them.
Oh, knives are out, man. Knives are
Yes.
out. Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that Forbes wrote that article and did you hear the questions that were asked of Bob Chapek at the Disney shareholders
They were
meeting?
awful. They were stupid. They were weak. They lacked balls. It pissed me off because I'm like, it's the perfect opportunity to put these people on the spot. They were light. They tiptoed around it. They should have been direct. They should have come out all guns blazing, but they went out with a whimper with their questions.
But the fact that we heard those questions is what's
Wait a minute. Nick Weiser. I remember one question that said basically the firing of Gina Carano for social media post that Pablo Hidalgo got a complete pass on for something arguably worse, or based on the same analogy, is obvious that there's a prejudice. And it was Chapek that danced around that.
Yeah, it was Chapek who danced around. And when Chapek did his whole thing about how there's no bias, they should have said, okay, what names are in your company that are not like this? We want to see names. We want to see receipts to verify your complaint. They should have went hardball. They didn't. They asked the basicness of the question, but they didn't go all the way with it.
Having been in a couple of shareholder meetings a long time ago, those were stunning questions to me for a shareholders meeting.
I agree with you, Redshirt.
Maybe I just want more out of it.
I understand you do.
Oh, it was deflected. It was deflected big time. You're right, Nick. It was deflected. They didn't want to answer the questions. He went about this whole song and dance bullshit dance is what he did.
I mean, those questions, though, first, something that y'all got to remember about those were not, that was not live Q&A. In the sense that they just... It
was all screened.
Yeah, right. This is all pre-screened. Okay, so you've got there were like 3, maybe 4 questions where, they tried to put Chapek on the spot. And it was pre-screened. Now, the one that got the closest was that one where he says, now, wait a minute, Pedro Pascal posted shit just like Gina, but you didn't fire his ass. So talk to me about
he literally called numerous people Nazis and monsters over and over again. I mean, Gina at least didn't actually say the words.
So, nor did she necessarily say somebody was one of those things. That one, my only supposition on these questions, that particular one was probably lined up and queued to ask a different question. Because how else do you get that through a pre-screened thing, right? I mean, that's never going to happen. So he probably presented something else as what he was going to ask, and then threw that out kind of on the go. And the dude was not, I mean, he's not a professional interviewer, which is why the question wasn't asked really well. But despite that, I mean, Chapek was reeling, man. He was on his ass. He did not know how to respond to that shit. The other questions that went through, Nick, were I think those were the questions submitted by the people who were called on to ask them. And I think they intentionally picked the biggest idiots they could find that had a point of view like ours. That's why those questions looked like morons, because they were.
I will say this, that I think that the winds are changing in Hollywood. There have been some changes. I think that what's going on with KK is that she is kind of on her way out. We'll see what happens in the next couple of months. I would like to believe everything that these fine YouTubers are saying that she's done, but until I see the actual evidence, I'm not going to believe it, because I've been believing that it was going to happen for 18 months. I still believe she is extremely, extremely powerful in Hollywood.
She's too powerful.
She goes to all the parties.
Look, I think she saw something while serving someone coffee, and since then she's had the powers of a god.
No. I think we're underestimating her power. I think that she was at the table of Spielberg, of Lucas, of some huge names in Hollywood. And so once you get on those coattails and you become attached to those names, you become almost as powerful as those names. And that's why she is the head of Lucasfilm. So yeah, that Forbes article was damning. Cameron Pasha is absolutely right when he's saying that really opened their eyes, that the executive boardroom has seen that article and went, uh-oh. And and they know it. They know what's going on. They have yes men, absolutely, but they have people to fill them in on what's going on. And they also know all about KK. Like, they know what she's like. They know what her team is like. They work with her every day. There's no way that they don't have intelligence on how they are and what they're writing and what this is all about. And they're in agreement to it up to this point. But now the winds are changing. So yes, it is entirely possible. She could be on her way out. She should be on her way out, because the numbers are damning. So let's wait and see. I'm hoping that this is the case, and I'm on page with you. Just another red shirt. I think that a lot of what's happening is the change that's coming.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
I'll say this though, and I don't want to. I don't want to rain on the parade, but you could eliminate KK and all of her minions. Pablo Hidalgo, I'm looking at you. The problem is that this got this bad because Disney got this bad. Yes, and I've talked about this. I don't know whether it was on one of your streams, Jake D, or on somewhere else, but I remember going to Disney World in '96 and then in 2012, and the difference between the two to me was stunning, because it had all those years for that's Eisner's end of his career at Disney and the beginning of Iger. And holy cow, Walt Disney World was a completely different place to me between those two visits. And that's Disney's problem before they even bought Lucasfilm. Yeah. So you can eliminate this toxic group from Lucasfilm, but it's still owned by a company that I have utterly lost any faith in, which is Walt Disney Company.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
The culture is there, and it's not good. And so I'll be like, this may finally be the end of Kathleen Kennedy's tenure at the head of Lucasfilm, and I'll feel really good to hear that Pablo Hidalgo is pounding the sidewalks looking for work. But it's not going to change much because Disney is still Disney.
Absolutely, man. And I firmly believe that Another Monster has really got it right here. Okay. And again, I can't read this because that's sort of nuke your channel kind of statements.
Right.
But yeah, she probably scheduled some island vacations for some people. That I can read.
There's no way you don't become intimate with all of these directors and producers and money men all over Hollywood and not know where the bodies are buried. Come on.
Yeah,
Look, I'm
exactly.
pretty
right.
sure she one day went to one of these parties with a secret camera, took enough pictures, made enough videos, made enough recordings, and it's pretty much good for life.
Nothing else explains it to me. Right?
You know, I think she might have talent. Now, I know. Keep your knives sheathed, boys. I think that you don't get to that position
kinds of
really
talent.
without some ability. Now, what that is, I don't know because I certainly haven't seen it and all
There are
the
many
years
kinds
she's
of
worked.
talent.
Exactly. So I think she could be Machiavellian. She could be very good politically astute. She could be very good at identifying who to manipulate and who to press the buttons on and who to kowtow to. I think she might be very good at that. It's just the ability, like you said earlier, Fenrir, I think it was you who said the ability to bring coffee to the right people. And I think that's kind of the way she's developed her talent set. She's not the most creative person in the world. She's not the most intelligent person in the world, but she is astute. And that's how she got to where she is. Look, she manipulated a man to give her the head reins of one of the greatest studios of all time. And look what happened.
Maybe she just makes a really good cup of coffee.
It'd have to be a really good.
I'm thinking she knows how to get the coffee topped with cream.
Lucas himself said that her coffee was awful. Her coffee was just awful. She just had pity.
And
on
I
her.
bet you she had an assistant that got the coffee, and she just handed it to them. Like she probably didn't even get the coffee.
She added in a little bit of that Colombian candy.
There you go. I think she just knew how to get the cream topping for it. That's what I'm saying.
Look, I'm just saying.
She was
Hollywood
talented
needs
at
to
getting the
get back to the
33rd
cocaine.
flavor.
Oh, yeah.
They just need to go back to sniffing cocaine, going after hookers, and then maybe the movies will go back to being what they were.
We joke about that, but that is the reality of Hollywood.
What made the 80s so great in Hollywood? Cocaine and hookers.
Mhm.
I'm not kidding.
No, I know.
We need to go back to executive producers and directors sniffing cocaine off of hookers' butts and then licking the heroin off their boobies, and that'll give us good movies again. That's what we need to have good entertainment out of Hollywood, because to Mike Beat's point, right now they just want woke points. You know what's really cool about directors and producers snorting cocaine off hookers' asses? They don't care about woke points.
They just care about getting enough money to do this
They
all
need
over
money.
again.
That's right.
We need to go back to grassroots creativity. We need to find people who've been through the ringer. You need to have military, law enforcement, people on the creative writing team of these movies that involve those kind of things. If you're going to have
People
big
that actually
blockbusters,
know.
like John Wick, the people that are behind the creative writing and that show, just look at the list of the people who are part of that. You can tell that there are veterans on that staff just by it's a fantasy. It's a movie that's would never happen because that's not reality, but it's a realistic, in air quotes, movie, and that you're looking at where you're dealing with firearms, you're dealing with strategy and tactics and that kind of stuff. So you need people who know what they're doing to be part of that creative writing staff. Look what happened with that fine, diverse gentleman who got fired off the writing staff mainly because he used the N word. That's just ridiculous to me. Or not fired, but you know what I'm trying to say. The guy
that was horrible.
Well,
and so when that kind of stuff happens, you know that those people aren't going to be able to write to experience and to knowledge. And that's what we need. We need people with life experience to be writing these shows, not people who are in it just for woke points.
well, what happened? As great a director as Stanley Kubrick was, what made the first half of Full Metal Jacket one of the most incredible pieces of movie making I've ever seen was that he had the good sense to stick Arlie Ermy in front of the camera.
Bing, right there.
Yes.
One of the greatest sergeant majors I've ever seen portrayed on the screen. Because I'll tell you what, I've stood in ranks and I've seen some awesome sergeant majors. Just, you don't know what happened to you. It's like you're sitting there, you're like, ah, and that's one of the best first halves of a movie I've ever seen.
Yep. And it was all down because Arlie Ermy was a technical consultant. He took all of the actors to his own boot camp off camera. He trained all of them in drill, in marching, and got them to where they could look like, if not Marines, Marine recruits.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And then he convinced the director to put him in. He auditioned.
Derek K.
He auditioned for the part with a video where he said he delivered a 10-minute monologue berating recruits while two other people threw tennis balls at him from behind the camera, and without breaking a beat and ever repeating himself, made a 10-minute video and sent it to Stanley Kubrick, who said, put him in.
Hire that man.
Hire that man.
And one of the best choices he could have possibly made, because my God, Arlie Ermy was a god among men.
Yeah. And he just the eyes. It was the eyes too, when he got going on his rant. Oh, I was like, I've looked into eyes like that, man, and it's looking into the 7 levels of hell. It's just
I gotta tell this story because I heard this on a making of documentary. You remember the line where I bet you're the kind of guy who would fuck somebody in the ass and not give him a reach around, and Kubrick yelled, "Cut!" And Ermy looked. He said, Arlie, come here." He said to Arlie, "What's a reach around?" and Arlie explained to him what a reach around was, and Kubrick said, "Print it."
I can demonstrate for you if you want. Yeah.
Keep your camera off.
Oh boy.
It's great.
I'm pretty sure that's the one guy Kubrick be afraid to do a second take.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike beat you right. Motivation is pretty huge too. There's no motivation. There's just people that are kowtowing to each other. I think that what we're doing, what we're seeing here is it's vanilla. We're seeing the same thing being written by all of these different writing staffs because they're using the same. Forgive me for saying this, Bible. So everybody's kind of using the same thing to write the same shows. So we're seeing the same thing, the same storylines in every single show we're watching, and I think that's why we're getting so frustrated and upset. There's no motivation to be creative. It's just to keep the same thing so you keep your job.
Wait a minute. Are you saying there's
no
of
fucking nuance.
Diversity?
Look back in
not diversity, but it's the same stories, the same. They're trying to
look back in the day.
The book of recycle.
Look, back in the day, I get the impression that all the old writers and directors used to sniff cocaine together, but the cocaine magically gave them different ideas in their brains.
It killed a lot of
ideas. It was the hookers' butts, not the cocaine.
Not to mention the cocaine.
Well, I think some people can discuss that maybe it was a mix of both.
It allowed them to have more thoughts, because they were having them faster. So you know how the whole idea is you have only like one good story, one good thought, one good idea in about, say, 1 million. Well, if it takes you shorter amount of time to get through that 1 million, you probably have more good thoughts.
There you go. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, man.
Can't argue that, yeah.
I think that we've danced around it a little bit while discussing this, but the ouster of Kathleen Kennedy does not necessarily mean good things are coming for Star Wars.
Agreed.
Exactly.
100%. And as I said earlier, they could replace her with someone even worse because at that point, it becomes another hold my beer. Let's do even worse than we've done before.
The culture is still persistent in Hollywood. And to think that changing a few ranks out is going to get you a better solution is a little short-sighted.
Cut one head off and 2 more shall take its place, and definitely not good ones.
Hail Jordan Peterson.
That's right. Hail Lobster.
Fucking hide.
Well, I mean, with all that in mind, it's like, how many of us everyone here was saying, and this is me, a little bit of me eating crow, was, we were talking about Star Wars being over, but then that Luke Skywalker scene came in at the end of Mandalorian season 2, and how many people did we see across the internet they were back?
Yeah,
And how many of those checked back out a few weeks later when Gina got the shit
Oh, it
canned?
didn't
Me.
take a few weeks.
Man,
They were already whittling through their goodwill within 3 fucking days.
yeah,
Well, it was
it's
a few hours. It was like stuff was happening already within 24 hours of
It's-
that coming out.
the fact that they pulled off a move that was incredibly rare, not just in Hollywood, but just in history, where they were able to get a good portion of goodwill. I'll say a good portion, not all of it, but even then, that's a victory in itself. A good portion of goodwill back from a giant lore of fandom to say, let's see if we can reconcile, only to shove it back in their face. Like, they did something that was historical, winning a good amount of people back, and they turn around and make it more historical by telling them, "No, we still hate you anyways." Wow, this is a unprecedented history right here.
Yeah. I mean, to get that many people turned around and then re-alienate them just a day or two later, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah,
And Senshin Dildo makes a good point. Fuck Star Wars.
yeah, agree.
And I push back against that. I honestly push back against that. No, don't fuck Star Wars. Fuck Disney Star Wars. Star Wars
Yes.
was in a place. Star Wars does have good things about it. I will never say fuck Star Wars to the original Star Wars 1977. I will never say fuck Star Wars to the original.
Just fuck Disney
Empire
in
Strikes
general.
Back.
But
Fuck
you know what,
Disney,
Draco?
sure, fuck Disney.
But
Duck
you know what,
Disney,
Draco?
absolutely.
Yeah, Duck
Fuck
Disney.
Disney in general. Straighten the mouse's ass.
Draco, so
And Thoth.
that was outstanding. Like, I agree with you 100%, and that was very emphatically stated. I agree. However, personally, it's affected my love of that originally trilogy. I don't know about you or anybody else here in the stream and on the panel, but I would look at my Blu-rays or my DVDs of Star Wars, and I'm going, once a year or twice a year, I would, pop in Empire Strikes Back, or there's some great scenes, and I haven't done that in 2 years. Like it's
Because
one of
you
those.
believe a story that was told to you by people that hate the characters that are in it.
No, I think it's just that I'm so fed up with it. I'm so tired of Star Wars hurting me that I just don't want to put my finger on the stove anymore.
Star Wars hurt you?
Oh man, that's
I'm
well
not-
stated.
I'm not hurt by the original 3, and I have been rewatching them, and I will continue to rewatch them.
Well, this brings up a good point. It brings up another good point, at least from the point of view of people on the panel and our differing ideas about how we look at these things, how we look at these materials, because that is a sample of the normies. That is a sample of people who don't get into these things. This shows you how people can walk away and come back. Some people will accept
the whole-
things. Some people will
The whole
deny
concept
things.
of this is because normies entered into this and destroyed it because they had no knowledge of it. And the sad part is, if they wanted to know knowledge of it, they could have just asked. I know numerous people in all these franchises that love to speak about their shit and teaching others about it. Just had to ask.
If there's anything a nerd loves, it's to talk about the things they love, to share that with others.
I can say that
Yeah.
that Discovery and Picard has also made me feel the same way about Star Trek. There's only
Dude.
one thing, ladies and gentlemen out there right now listening to this, there's only one thing that has made me come back and want to watch Star Trek again. And that's Clobberin' Times channel. Raquel and Clobberin' Times, 10 o'clock on
Two amazing
Saturday nights.
individuals.
You got to tune in because it's a lot of fun. We make fun of it in the chat. We did Spock's brain the other night, and the children shall lead, and it was a hoot. I actually stayed up until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning just to go through that because we were having a blast, and that brought my love back for Star Trek again because it's passionate people out there that share that love of that theme, that that great Star Trek that we remember from when we were kids. And I think that's kind of like the same for Star Wars. Like, I may come back to it sooner or later because it is like one of my first loves, literally. And I think that a lot of what's happened in recent history has really hurt that love quite a bit. It's like,
Yes.
I mean, you fall in and out of love all the time, right? I mean, when a relationship goes too long, you're kind of like, So I think that thanks to Clobbering Times and thanks to Raquel, it's brought back my love of Star Trek again after that travesty that was Discovery and Picard the last few years. So hail to Clobbering Times and his channel, man, because that was just I've just been having so much fun there.
And whatever you do, don't tell Lady Thoth what he just said.
I just heard the dishes clacking, so I think
I have no idea what he even said. Like, did he even talk? He needs to speak.
Thoth, did you hear any dishes
Your
breaking?
love?
just a second, I'm hearing a little nod to Eddie Murphy there.
Oh, man.
I could never fall out of love for her. She's my true love. She's
You hear
my
a shotgun.
All right, nice
Do you-
recovery.
look, dude,
good
do you hear a
timing,
shotgun?
making sure she was
Do you
listening.
hear one?
I think I hear the knife being sharpened.
yeah.
But seriously,
Around
seriously,
chambers.
stop. Be careful. If you hear a shotgun, run away as fast as you can.
Oh, I know that sound too well. I'll be running.
I'm sure you of all people know you know that sound probably before it even happens. Oh,
10-4.
man.
Oh boy.
But thank you for listening to my little rant there, chat, and hail to Clobbering Times.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, other than saying you fell out of love after your relationship got too long, it was great. No, I mean it makes sense, man. And Clobby does good stuff, man. I'm not able to catch him as often as I'd like to, but no doubt his content is outstanding. And if you guys haven't been watching it, I mean, that's a guy you need to listen to, no doubt about it.
Clobby is a guy who continues to remember a lot of things that I've forgotten about media that we both shared over our lives.
Absolutely, man. So, all right. I mean, does anybody have anything else you really want to get off your chest about these KK and Disney and Star Wars rumors?
Okay. Here's the thing.
All right, Fenrir,
It isn't
go
about
off.
Star Wars or Disney in the first concept. It's about the
I
whole
got stop
Falcon
watch.
and like shit. I don't care anymore. Okay.
Here we go. Get that
Even
clock
Reynolds
out.
not gonna make. But okay, starting right now. Look, the whole bullshit of the series was all concept of this thing of one world nation, which makes no sense in the concept because if it's only one nation, then the chances of self-destruction are even bigger. Look, if they really wanted to make this season good, they could have bring problems from that world. For example, after the whole blip thing, instead of people just returning, a lot of the people that came back could have had powers, and which would cause a lot of problem because people would not be trustful of all these things because of all the hate with metahumans. Because let's be honest, at the end of the day, superpowered beings caused all this. So they could have done something with that, which would have been much more interesting in plot and showing people developing more on this world. They could have, shown Sam's sister was one of the people that got blipped too, and she came back with powers, and the community around her was not accepting her better, and she was threatened numerous times, which would have put Falcon in a position of psychological and constant moral questioning, because they could also come after his sister and nephews, and that could be a problem to him. They could have fixed that.
Wait, Fenrir, I found the problem with your theory.
What is it?
Well, in your theory, the white man's not the villain.
Yeah, he's not the villain, dude.
So
Humanity is the villain. It's it's smarter that way. It's smarter that way.
Smart.
Plus-
what does what does smart have to do with the MCU?
Because people like smart things.
What does smart have to do with the MCU?
Absolutely fucking nothing.
nothing anymore,
you.
man. All right. So we got this out,
But
man.
still,
but
I
it's
still say one more thing.
yeah.
They could have also used the whole process of the Flag Smashers to help incentivize this. The people are hating metahumans because the Flag Smashers are causing all this destruction in the name of their own ideology without questioning themselves what do other people want and think, which would cause the people to hate even more metas because of their actions.
Look,
And the whole power broker.
Fenrir just pulled a better story
because
out
even
of
the
his
public,
ass.
because even the public would beg the government to create more super soldiers out of people they will actually trust and respect to stop these threats.
Oh, and by the way, Agent Carter is the power broker. Just so y'all know.
You see, there you go. There you go. A way better plot. I just took a way better plot out of my ass in a few seconds than these assholes could in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. All right.
What does that tell you? What does that
tells you
tell
that they don't give a fuck. So
exactly.
All right. So I want to close the book on shit that we don't give a fuck about, or at least are angry about, or what have you. And I want to get into something that is actual, legit, good fucking news. So I think everybody on the panel is at a minimum familiar with Robotech and the Macross saga, right?
Yes.
Yes. I actually, as a teenager, I was a GM for a Robotech campaign that lasted 6 years.
Nice. Ooh. All right, so
I
okay,
love it.
so Thoth is into it. All right, good stuff. There was huge news about this that came out in the past few days. So there hasn't been any Robotech Macross content on screens outside of Japan for like 20 years. And the reason for this was there was a huge rights battle between two different distributor and creative companies related to who actually owned the rights to produce and distribute this shit. It was a big distribution IP dispute that kept the Macross saga landlocked to the island of Japan. There's been new content, okay, but none of us have seen it because they couldn't take it anywhere outside of Japan. This just, not only did this just get settled, but the two companies have agreed to work together, and they are going to be releasing all this anime content that none of us have ever had access to. And not only that, they're working together on new feature-length stuff as well as additional series. And I'm just fucking blown away by this news. I mean, it's just like, wait a minute, what? It just is amazing. So I want to hear just like, give me your reaction to this, guys, because this is something that I care about and I'm looking forward to and I'm nostalgic about.
Reaction? Okay.
And we're gonna get new tech.
Yes.
So the two companies that you're talking about were Big West and Harmony Gold. Now, Big West is a big conglomerate that controlled a lot of the stuff outside of North America, while Harmony Gold could distribute it within North America. And obviously, there's a big issue with the whole Japanese rights with Macross and Robotech. So there's kind of like the Japanese original anime versions of Macross, and then that was based on Robotech was based off of that. So you had like the new generation, and you had Southern Cross was the North American version. That's what most people are probably familiar with. So those were all kind of pushed together. And then you had the Sentinel show that was kind of a failed attempt to bring Rick Hunter, Lisa Hayes, Min-May, and all those characters into space where they go to the Master's homeworld to try to, stop an invasion, which they missed, which is where Southern Cross kind of fits in. But anyway, the rights have been kind of in limbo for years, with Harmony Gold taking advantage of the nebulous contract that was signed back in the 80s. And the reason why we haven't seen any good stuff, like a few years ago, they were talking about doing a live action Robotech show. And there were some big names that were associated to that, big name actors that were part of that trying to push it. But because of all this legal issues that have been going on for literally decades, they couldn't do it. And the brand is just outstanding. There was also some cross-pollination with stuff like Battletech, the miniatures Battletech, whereby some of the miniatures look the same and all of that stuff. So there's a whole bunch of fingers that goes out into a lot of the culture that's out there. And it's such great news because finally we may get to see this again. And I mean, I have the VHS tapes. Like I have all the VHS tapes downstairs, and it hasn't really. It could be remastered and easily sold as Blu-rays and make a lot of money because this is very much an '80s cartoon. This is my favorite '80s cartoon, and there's a lot of great '80s cartoons out there, right? And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Blazers, blah 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 blah, Thundar the Barbarian. I can go on, right? And Hong Kong Phooey. Sorry.
Oh yeah, nice talk my language.
And so, yeah, this is great news. I think that Sony, was it Sony that was involved in the movie a few years ago, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, where Sony was actually putting together a movie, but just the legal issues just blocked them. And that's what's so tough about this. So this is great news. Tatsunoko was a genius. I think that we really need to see this in theaters, and I would like to see some of the more of the anime too. The story is a great story, and it's a great universe.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, I just remember it being really cool, fun science fiction that me as a kid watching through this stuff. It gripped me, right? In in a not sentient dildo kind of way, it gripped me, and it was
it leave you moist,
and it held me in a way that I don't want Nick Weiser to hold me, and always love.
But my tip can hold you.
Well, as long as it's just the tip, Nick, I guess. What can I say? Dude, but I mean, this is cool shit, man. I mean, I can't even begin to get over how freaking excited I am about this, because this was great sci-fi anime. I mean, even throw anime out of it. Anime is not even fucking important about this. It was just great animated sci-fi, right?
Something we get rarely in the state, coming from the States.
Yeah. Exactly, man. So I don't know. So Ironcaster, man, what give me, I mean, what are you looking forward to as a result of this?
So I'm not as well versed in Macross, so it's something that I need to go and really explore. I think I've gone through the first like 25, 26 episodes of the series roughly. I got up to the point where they had the wedding to kind of bring the two the Zentradi and the humans together. One of the things I do know, and it's just kind of a little bit of knowledge around this series, is that Macross had originally started in the initial development stages as a parody of Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a Gundam connection there that I know of. But no, I this is good news. I'm glad to finally see this.
Okay, I'd like to say one thing. I'm just going to say one thing. I have almost no idea what the hell you guys are talking about. I mean, I've heard about it, but I've actually never watched much of, out of 2 episodes exactly, tops. So,
well, my God,
exactly
that's one to look up, buddy.
There's a rabbit hole for you.
Especially Macross. Oh, especially Macross. It's such a heart-wrenching story, too. There's good and bad and ups and downs. And, it's a massively great, well-put-together emotional cartoon. Just fast-forward it through Min-Mei's songs. But I think that we will win. I kind of have a soft spot for him. But I think that Macross, too, is completely different, right? Because, I mean, there's a little bit of a mix there, because Robotech, the North American comic or a cartoon, was based off of the Macross movies, and there's actual Macross English versions of Macross too that are different. They have Valkyries, the Veritechs are Valkyries, and it's a different kind of story, but it's very similar. They're a very similar kind of story, but very much Japanese animation of the 80s.
Yeah, absolutely. And Thoth, there are little blue pills that can help you with the soft spots, just so you know.
Thanks.
Okay, but where can one exactly?
I prefer the red pill.
Where can one exactly start to understand all of this?
Yeah. So
there we go. Guardian mode.
Yeah, here you go, man. So this is the kind of shit that you get out of Robotech, Thoth, right here.
So pretty much, jets that turn into mechs.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And the halfway point, that's a Guardian mode there. That's the halfway point. So you have a little bit of the mobility and a little bit of the combat. You've got Zentradi in the background here. Looks like they just took out a Zentradi pod. But yeah, that's a great picture.
It is. It's excellent.
So, just as one other little thing to add, the original Macross toys for these jets were imported to the U.S. and brought into the Transformers line for Jetfire. For anyone who doesn't know, so there is a Transformers connection as well.
Yeah, I own that Transformer.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Interestingly enough.
I love that one. Jetfire / Skyfire, depending on what region you bought. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of the tech that you've got in this show, man, and it's just I just have a huge nostalgia part in me for this show, just because I remember it. This was probably the first anime I ever watched. Imagine, I think I was in my early teens, something like that, and just this huge, just twinge of nostalgia hearing this news, man. I'm just so looking forward to getting the opportunity to re-experience this. Yeah, that's cool.
There's
That's
the
just good
SDF-1
stuff.
right there. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. At Macross City around it. It's funny, too, because it's 2 aircraft carriers there. It's arms. So when they went into space and they space folded the first time, they sucked up a part of the ocean with it, including 2 aircraft carriers. So they had to attach them as arms on the ship so that all the Veritech fighters could take off from the ship. Oh, it's so creative and so unique that it's just...
This gives me a lot of those... Okay, you remember in Transformers there were the Titans, right? It's giving me a lot of Titans.
Oh, yeah.
vibes.
Yeah. Good call. Yeah, it's a gateway drug to anime for me. It was really my first. Well, no, Captain Harlock was probably Space Pirate Harlock. That was probably my first introduction to it. That and Star Blazers.
I've been having
loved
some fun
Robotech.
exploring the Harlock stuff lately. So,
Oh man, I have the little statue. I have the statues and everything. I love Harlock.
oh, that one 2013 CGI movie was beautiful.
Yeah, it's the same as the Star Blazers one too. They did a live action one a few years ago too, which was not bad actually. I understand the twang. I understand the twang of nostalgia you get to. I was reading that news too. I didn't think anybody else would want to talk about it, but absolutely, it's from your childhood, right? Your teen years. And
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those things that really makes you remember.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna have to go binge back through this content because I mean it, dude. Because it's just it hasn't been available for a long time to even kind of get to, as far as I know. And so hearing this, it's like, oh, sweet,
Certainly not legal anyway.
Well,
Yeah, that's right. Well, they did have the VHSs in the 90s, but boy, were they ever expensive. The VHS cassettes were I don't know, $10 or $20 each. You remember the good old days of the VCR? Some of you on the panel here might remember.
Oh, yeah.
$10, $20.
And how
I
expensive they were.
I remember some of those titles were actually upwards of 50.
Yes.
I was just
especially
thinking
the
50,
Japanese stuff.
60.
HS tape.
All the Japanese stuff was all imported. So yeah, it was. You had to remortgage your house to be able to afford it.
All right, man. So I think we are about ready to wrap up, guys. So let's roll around, get final thoughts, anything you want to plug. We will start off with the one and the only Lord Thoth.
Hail to everybody in the chat, everybody on the panel here. What a great crew we had today. Thank you very much for such a stimulating conversation. I want to do a shout out to my lovely wife, Lady Thoth. She brought me dinner so I could munch while we were chatting because she knew I was having such a blast on this stream. So thanks for inviting me, Jake D. It's always fun to talk about the stuff that's happening in our world and to share it with my brothers in arms here. And hail to all of you. Thank you very much.
All right. And Draco.
Yes, I have to second Lord Thoth's original words. This was an excellent panel today. A lot of emotion. I know I don't speak as much as some of you guys on the panel, especially my good friend, the God of the North, or Thoth, or our much loquacious young Fenrir who is just being introduced to all this. But yes, we had some excellent discussion. Thanks, chat, for hanging out with us.
We have such sights to show you.
There is so much more moist yet to come.
Come Tuesday
Just
night
you
on
wait.
my stream for the moistness, and you'll be complete. But anyways, go on, Draco.
Well, sub to our channels. Thanks. Bye.
All right, Ironcaster. By the way, I love the new logo, dude.
Thank you. It was, I believe, not another normie who did that for me.
That's
Oh,
great.
sorry, just normie. I'm trying to remember certain names. Anyway, yeah. So I am Ironcaster, and I'll be around. Tuesday, I am going to do a stream talking about Transformers, which I don't know. Maybe in a week or two we'll turn it into a Mecha Monday stream or a Mecha Monday show. We'll just talk about giant robots, which would be a good
Excellent.
topic.
Oh my
Cool.
goodness, you might have to touch on Robotech.
Oh, maybe. So yeah, I think we'll Tuesday I'm doing Transformers. Anyone here is more than welcome to come if you love the big stompy bots.
There you go. Outstanding. Very good. All right. He is the man with the lovely locks, and he promises to give you the 33rd flavor if you just subscribe. Anything to plug, Nick? What do you got coming up, buddy?
Let's see here. I recently did an awesome unboxing video on the new Cannibal Corpse album, and I got more music videos I'm going to be doing, and I also got 2 food videos. People have been actually asking me for more food videos, so you ask and you shall receive. I got another chicken sandwich I'm going to be covering from another company and a pizza video this week. And, of course, Tuesday night, me and the boys, we talk about Invincible. So if people have been saying, hey, who's covering Invincible? I'm covering Invincible. So get on here, man. Tuesday night. Friday night comic talk as well. You know how to find me at Nick Weiser. Mine's Twitter, Instagram. 32 flavors of Nick Weiser on YouTube. This chat is awesome. Every guy in here, this panel is great. The chat is awesome. Thank you, Jake, for always having me on. It's been absolutely real. Thank you.
32 flavors of Invincible.
Don't forget to subscribe to his alternate channel, 32 Flavors of Moistwizer.
Oh, Vegas is going to be moist.
Fenrir! Final thoughts, my friend.
Well, just like every single stream I have with all of you guys, I've learned I have a lot of stuff to watch, and that's always fun because literally there's nothing interesting going on in modern TV for me. So I'm just going to try to give this all a look at it as soon as I finish most of the other movies that I've been requested from other friends. So, yeah, the world really is too big. I mean, I'm also trying on D&D with Ironcaster, and it's going to take some time, but yeah, I'm trying to learn as much as I can before all this gets destroyed.
Is that a 5th edition game you guys are playing?
So I mean, so far it's sort of just introducing him to the topic, to the hobby. But yeah, we're gonna start with 5th edition because it's current, it's out, it's the one that most people are gonna be able to recognize right now. And I don't know, maybe we'll do a run through of Curse of Strahd.
Yeah, that's great.
Ooh, yes. All right. He is not just another red shirt. He is the red shirt. Final thoughts? Anything you want to plug, my friend?
Well, I want to say hail to the chat. You guys have been on fire tonight. And, well, except for Sentient Dildo, quite well behaved. You need to subscribe to every one of these fine gentlemen in their channels, and if you're not, you're missing out. Jake D, I want to thank you for having me on and bringing me up to discuss the Kathleen Kennedy. And folks, I'm a wrench on a number of channels, and I am sure you will see me, and I will see you in a stream chat somewhere, sometime in the future. Say hi. Thank you and good night.
All right. Well, by God, it was a fun chat tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you for popping in. Thank you to the chat. You guys make this one of the funnest places to be every Sunday evening, and we will talk to you later.